And we are live. What's up, everybody? Cancel's back. Phill the Thrill.
What's up, brother?
Here to talk baseball and to celebrate all things that is sports now, I guess, for the moment. That's what we're going to talk about. And the world, too, because fucking aliens, right? I think you all heard about that. I know you heard about the aliens.
Oh, they're confirming some shit. Come get me.
All right. So, do you think the aliens helped us bring back fucking baseball? Do you think they made the miracle of baseball happen? I don't know.
I think so. I'll take it. I mean, if they want to go play, left field for the Yankees, I'll take an alien over Brett Gardner right now.
Yo, imagine what they could do.
I want Brett Gardner out. You guys want Brett Gardner? We want to make a trade for Brett Gardner?
I don't know, man. I don't think we need him. The Mets are looking pretty stacked right now.
Yeah. I mean, but maybe like a speed guy off the bench, like a pinch runner, because that's always worth.
I think he wants to be a starter. He doesn't look like the kind of guy who would fucking take any less at this moment. I know he's been in the deep dive. Yeah, he's got
some sort of bribe on the Yankees for keep fucking stealing money from the Yankees. It's disgusting.
I think because he clean shaves really well. They love that. They love that. They love that clean shaven look, and they like a mustache here and there. But I think they and he cleans up pretty well. I mean, in all honesty, I feel like there's somebody who's like got a Mickey Mantle fetish, and he sort of resembles him a little bit. You know what I mean? But, they're like, well, we want to keep a guy that looks like the Mick on the team because it's good for morale. And it's like, yeah, okay. Give him another $1 million. It's like, okay. Yeah, but I mean, his numbers suck. I mean, what is his batting average last season was under 250, right? Mm-hmm. Which is that's way below the mark for Yankees. Yankees went to batting 260 and above. Otherwise, you're shipping out. They get rid of guys like Didi Gregorius.
I know. That's exactly my point. You don't give Didi like a 1-year offer and you sign this bum. It's like, and especially now with the universal DH, you could DH him if he's not the same. Like, I think he's still a good shortstop, and I think he's gonna have a good season in Philly. Unfortunately for you guys, but I mean,
I know. we got to see them next. I mean, we're seeing right now we're playing the Braves, which is a hard fought. Soroka DeGrom.
My boy. He's my favorite Met. Even Gabe knows that's my favorite Met. I would trade the farm for DeGrom.
I'd be following him regardless of the uniform. I mean, because I like players. You know what I mean? Like, especially if they shine on a team. Like Christian Yelich is somebody who I'm definitely gonna be following for a while. Trout is definitely a guy who I'm like. I'm not an Anaheim fan, but I'm definitely a Trout fan. Like He's an all-around great player, and you get other guys like that. Every once in a while, you get a hot pitcher who's just like fucking striking guys out left and right, and regardless of the shit team that they're on, like even when Verlander was Detroit, I was watching him play with Detroit. You know what I mean? I drafted him his rookie year in my fantasy league, and I've been watching him ever since. He's been lights out since his rookie season. You know what I mean? And even with the Astros, I got something to confess, right? So. I don't know if I told you the story. Maybe I did tell you the story, but I'm confessing live. I think this is the first time I'm talking about it. I was at one of the last spring training games, right, in Port St. Lucie. The Mets were playing the Astros, and George Springer goes up to bat, and I start screaming out "trash can" really loud. Trash can! Everybody's bump. Everybody's like smashing on something metal next to them. They're all taunting him. Trash can! You see him get like all bent out of shape. I think Noah was pitching. It was right before he tore his fucking shit. And Noah was pitching and struck him out. Everybody cheered, walked off, did the same thing. Trash can, trash. He turned around. He was like fucking cursing at me and like in my direction. And I was the only person saying that. And everybody was like, ooh. And I was like, I think I got under his skin. And he struck out again. Noah Syndergaard struck him out again. Yeah. So fuck that guy, because he's a cheater. But my moral of the story is I don't think Verlander's a cheater, but definitely all the bats on that team are.
Yeah, but it's kind of a tough pill to swallow because as good as he was and as good as he pitched during that run, it's like those 1 or 2 runs that you got might have been because you cheated. So it's tough. But now that everything, I mean, even the Yankees are getting accused now. To me, it's like it reminds me of the steroid era. It's like everybody was doing it. It's just a matter of who got caught.
Yeah, how much you abused it. It's like the thing is, sign stealing is something that's been around since the Ty Cobb era. Like you're talking over 100 years ago, people were stealing signs, and the method of calling signs and stuff to the pitcher and between the pitcher and the catcher is something it's sign language that was invented that long ago too. So people have been doing it as long as it's been around. But the thing is the frequency, I think, and they had a method to communicate with each other, and it wasn't just one guy doing like fastball. You know what I mean? It wasn't just like that. Okay, and he knew that he was getting it down the middle, so he could fucking swing. You know, so they're doing it like almost every fucking pitch. You know what I mean? And they notice that. And they go back to the tapes. You see, there's garbage can banging like fucking 10 or 12 times an inning. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, all right. So this isn't just one at bat because somebody needs a hand with this guy because he fucking, this guy fucking kills like righties, and this guy is just like a vulnerable right-hand hitter who's just going to get struck out unless he knows where his pitch is. So that's the only time it would really probably happen, and it was just rampant with them. Yes, okay, Red Sox get accused of it, Yankees, okay, sort of, but I think with the Yankees and other teams that are sort of like suspect, I feel like they're doing it just the traditional way, like traditional cheating, acceptable, like it's socially acceptable cheating. Like jaywalking is a crime, but everybody does it.
Well, to like your point, like what I was taught in high school, like what the catcher's signs was, and if I was on second and I knew a fastball was coming, I would put my left hand on my left leg to let him know a fastball is coming outside.
Right.
So like I said, like there's unwritten rules of like stealing, but like again, if I got caught doing that when I batted next time around, I was getting a fastball at the head. So it's like, but I knew what I was doing, and I signed up for that. But like to your point, what the Astros are doing are going a step beyond, because if you're at, and you could see their stats really back it up too. Like their home stats, like I said, the numbers don't lie. Like their home stats are super inflated, and their road stats are like, like they're not bad, but they're average. So it's like, all right, when you're home, you're cheating, and your stats are like, 200 points above what you might have been hitting, and on the road, you're mediocre. So it's like.
But nobody likes a cheater, especially when they get caught. Like, if it's like, like, oh, man, it's fucking blatant and people feel robbed, and you're robbing the Yankees, and it's the Yankee fans that are, like, nationwide. They're not just isolated to New York. So you get bitter fans all over the fucking country who hate your guts. And the Houston Astros just narrowly missed a fan-filled season of boos, probably everywhere except hometown. Like listen, people were ready to fucking throw their beer cups at the fucking at the Astros. Like people were really, I mean, they were drunkenly upset because obviously they're all fucked up. Like
I mean,
we're
but
going spring training baseball.
You got to pop it off in spring training, so you can contribute to that. You got to start it too.
That's what I'm saying, and it was an exciting vibe because I felt like this was like how it was in the 20s. Like people were like, "Fuck you, Babe Ruth," ting, and they're like spitting in a spittoon. There were no fucking spittoons, but they were ready to throw their fucking hot dogs at this guy.
Oh yeah, I was going to go to an Orioles game. Yeah, I was going to go to Orioles game just to boo them, just at like to your point, just out of principle, just for the game.
Yeah, but the Orioles are good. The Orioles are good for you because they're division. Like they're not rivals, but they're division opponents, and the Yankees always come through town for you. It's like me being close to Miami. It's like, like I'll see pretty much mostly Met fans at Marlins Stadium when they play the Marlins, and and that's pretty much how it goes. Like if you go to a Marlins game and you're going to see a National League team play, usually. The people who've moved to Florida from Chicago, from Philadelphia, from New York City, and even from Atlanta, you get Braves fans down here too. They sometimes buy more tickets than the Marlins fans. Or 50-50. Half of them are Marlins fans and half of them are Met fans, let's just say. There's a lot of Met fans down here. And you go to New York, you go to a Yankee game, it's like, okay, they're playing the Red Sox. Maybe you get one section that's heavily Red Sox, but not really that much. It's not 50-50. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So they're not doing well with the attendance, but they have like this really beautiful fucking stadium that has a lot of fucking amenities. And I'm like, I want to go because it sounds like an amusement park for a baseball fan.
Yeah.
So it might be just worth going to a game.
Mm-hmm. I went to my buddy's back like maybe mid-2000s. He went to University of Tampa. Yeah. And I visited him for the weekend, and we went to a White Sox-Rays game. It was like 60% White Sox fans. It was crazy. It was like,
because a lot of people from Chicago move, retire, Florida. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. So like I'm sort of hyped for that because I'll feel like it'd be like, yeah, it's not City Field, it's not New York City, but I'm sure I'll be surrounded by a lot of like-minded motherfuckers who will,
Mm-hmm.
who will definitely boo the home team in their own stadium,
Mm.
which is always fun.
Yeah,
That's always fun to boo the home
I
team.
miss it, and
So
that's yeah, it's one thing I miss
yeah, I was
about
gonna ask that.
Corona
Yeah, if you missed
is like
the live sports, yeah,
yeah, that and like like just having that like having those people you're rival with too. It's like you never thought it at the time. Like he's like I for me as a Giants fan, like I have a lot of friends that are Cowboy fans, and
yeah,
even though we're friends,
that
like
sucks.
when football season starts, I hate them. I'm like, don't talk to me until the season's over. But now it's like that there might not even be a season, and it's like even if there is, it's like we don't know what like it's gonna be. It's like I'm gonna miss
Let me
that hate.
guess. Can I guess, Phil? Like,
Shoot.
are you the Giant fan who is a bus driver who drives the short bus for all the Cowboys fans in the back?
Yes, that's exactly what I do.
They got
Yes.
their helmets on, but not because they're football fans.
Yes, that's exactly what they are, and I love it because
Why would you be?
their hatred for Eli Manning is so like it's so bad,
I
and all
know
I have
why.
to do
Why
is
do they
like
hate so much?
yeah, and it's like he's won more Super Bowls than you've been in his entire career. Like that's all the stats you need to know about Eli Manning. It's like
I mean, I don't know any Giants fans who hate, like, let's just say, like Troy Aikman all that
nah,
much. Or
I do a little bit because like you don't want them to succeed. Like because you're in the division, you don't want to see them do anything good. But like I respect
yeah,
Troy Aikman's ability. I mean, I hate listening to him like announce games, but like I respect his his championships and the fact that he was a good quarterback. But I
I
mean,
always
other than
thought he had
that,
a weird. He has like a weird jaw. Like his
yeah,
jaw is
yeah,
strange. It's like a strange neck to jaw kind of. Like he looks like Brad Pitt got like fucking reconstructive surgery, and they set
yeah,
his jaw wrong. Like
mm.
like I don't know. I can't even.
Yeah,
I can't make the face, but yeah, it's odd. But yeah, Troy Aikman. I mean, fuck him too. I
yeah,
mean,
it's
I never really rooted for the Cowboys at all. Yeah, I was, like I rooted for the Bills. I'm a Jet fan, but with those four times in the '90s that they went to the Super Bowl, I was rooting for them the whole way.
yeah.
So like when they played the Cowboys those two times, I was like, fucking, they got to win something, man. The fucking Redskins beat them last year. Like, get the fuck out of here. I mean, the Giants, you guys fucking, like definitely that was lucky, but that
Yeah,
was
the
that
field
kind
goal.
of like
I'll take
that was
it.
that was the kind of that's like fucking Mookie Wilson singles between fucking and
Although
what's
with
his name?
Mookie though, I blame the Red Sox manager because I'm sure you knew you're probably more about this as a Met fan, but I was just under the impression growing up that Bill Buckner was a bum, and he was like a
No,
Hall of Famer.
he had pretty good stats, dude. He had a storied career even up to that point, and that's what fucked him up. And that's why he just embraced it. He's like, me and Mookie go on signings together, and he did up until he passed away.
Yeah.
They would go do fan signings, but he was like in 1987. Bill Buckner is like, I'm a Hall of Famer for all intents and purposes, but it's like Derek Jeter letting, like, let's just say fucking Luis Castillo fucking hits a single that wins the World Series. You know what I mean? Between his legs, and Derek Jeter's a Hall of Famer by all, by all means, he wasn't even at that point because he had rings. You know what I mean? And he accomplished a lot as a shortstop in a short period of time too. Up to that point, he still had a long career after that. But what if he was the fault that he lost the World Series, and people might remember that, and especially on such a fucking bad error. Like that wasn't charged as an error, right? Was it? I don't remember. I think it was just
Uh,
I said it was just a single. It was just a hit because they scored it as Mookie Wilson single RBI wins the game, right?
and I honestly think he beats it out. Like Mookie's fucking fast,
He
and
was
the
fast.
way as a first baseman, the way that and Buckner's knees, in my opinion, he should have been defensively replaced for because his knees were fucked up, and
Yeah,
I think even if he comes up with that ball, he like as a first baseman, he's got to make a perfect flip. And the pitcher's got to get there in time. And
yeah.
Mookie runs fast, and he was playing behind the line. I think Mookie Wilson beats it out. So if anything, I wish it would have played out because then at least then he would have been off the hook. Like because people forget that there was Game 7 the next day, and I think he went like 2 for 4 the next day, or like 1 for 3,
Yeah,
or like he still like had a decent game. So it's
yeah.
like he didn't cost them the series. They still had a game 7, and they blew
Yeah,
that too.
He produced too. I'm wondering. I don't know. I'm not really totally 100% familiar with Buckner's stats, but he may have been sour also because he may have won some Gold Gloves, which is like,
yeah,
you know,
I could see like the ego and stubbornness, and that's why I just wish the play would. And like as a first baseman, I've made that play before. We even like it is. Unfortunately, it's a term. It's called we call it Buckner. Like, oh, I Bucknered the ball. Like, because especially with a left-handed hitter, and it's like a slow hit ground ball. Like your whole focus is like just getting that ball and getting rid of it and throw it to the pitcher. So
yeah.
you're so focused on the runner that you forget about the ground ball, and you're looking up. And they always teach you keep your head down, your glove down,
Yeah,
and
you could
then the
also
ball
blame it
gets
on
right
the
through your
hop
legs.
too. It was an on hop. You know, he was used to scooping it off the ground, but it fucking just rolled, and it was just whop whop.
It literally,
Yeah.
it literally just happened at the worst fucking possible time. Like if it happened in Game 6 of the regular season, people are laughing at it. The fact that it happened in Game 6,
Some people call it miraculous, even. Like the Miracle Mets, because they're the fucking Miracle Mets, and miracles happen sometimes. So you know, who knows?
I have a question. I've heard this as a rumor about Kevin Mitchell, and I'm sure as a Met fan, you could probably was he literally in the locker room like in his jeans, ready to and they had to tell him that because I know Gary Carter hit a base hit.
No, I think it's exaggerated because everybody heard the story. He was ready to go. Like he was definitely
in the locker room getting ready to change, and they were like, "Dude, you got to hit."
Yeah. He wasn't like uniform off, but he probably had his clothes already laid out. You know what I mean? Because he wanted to party. Like, listen, it's the '86 Mets. They wanted to party. They were like, "Yo, dude, we all have a quarter ounce of cocaine on us, and we have a fucking booking at private room in this special club in New York City or whatever. Like we're all fucking going wherever the fuck we gotta go. You know, like they're ready to jump, and he's like, all right, fuck this, you know, and then he stormed into the back. That much time that lapsed. I think he went to the dugout, was there for a little while. You know, but yeah, he had to be like, no, you're going up to bat, you know, and it's like, imagine that happens. See, that's what I'm saying about miracles. Like, and I don't really believe in miracles like that, you know what I mean? But when it comes to the Mets, when it comes to baseball, superstition exists. Doesn't exist anywhere else for me, but in baseball, superstition exists. So I understand why people have like beads and this and that, and the you know, the lucky bat and they won't. Like the pine tar has to be a certain way on their helmet, all this shit. You know what I mean? Like everybody's got their quirks, and that goes back to like the origin of fucking baseball. I can't remember the fucking pitcher's name, but he was like diagnosed schizophrenic, but they still let him play professional ball. And this is like in the early 1900s, probably in the 19 teens, I want to say. And he would show up to a game drunk, right? Like many other people did. Even Mickey Mantle showed up fucking drunk, and Babe Ruth showed up. Everybody fucking showed up drunk. Roberto Clemente showed up to games drunk. You had what's his face tripping on acid, pitching a perfect game. You get all this shit. You guys would just be fucked up playing baseball. The '86 Mets were all high on cocaine. I think Lenny Dykstra was high on cocaine all throughout the late '80s, into his stint with the Phillies, and deep into that even. And you know, like you get stories of these guys that are not so fucking perfect that live a certain lifestyle. And there was this one guy who was, I can't remember his fucking name. Wiesel? Is it Wiesel? Something Wiesel?
You remember the team he played for?
He may have played for like the fucking Tigers and the Pittsburgh fucking Pirates. Like he may have played for a couple of teams. A lot of them aren't around now, or were changed ball clubs too. You know how like they were like the Boston Braves, you know what I mean? Then they moved to Atlanta, whatever. And then there was like the fucking like the Washington Senators, you know what I mean? Like there were teams that end up moving and or just deading the franchise. And even back then there was a lot of ball clubs that just fucking folded, right? So this guy was diagnosed schizophrenic. Like doctor said he's schizophrenic. He hears voices. He would show up in a women's fucking dress. He'd fucking start pitching a game with half his uniform on, talking to himself. He'd walk off the mound and have an argument in thin air, like with thin air. And the fucking umpires would be like, we don't know what the fuck is going on. They didn't have video of this fucking guy. There's pictures of him and stuff like that. In one game, he's hammered from the night before to get any sleep. The ball player said, we left him at such and such. He walked in through, there was like a fucking cornfield in the back of this, maybe I'm saying cornfield because of Field the Dreams, who knows, but there's like tall grass, like a field, and then back bleachers. He walked through the back bleachers and through the people, and they were going to postpone the game because the starting pitcher didn't show up. Now, these guys had steady jobs. Like, they would literally pitch days in a row. You know what I mean? So he was their fucking starting pitcher. So he was starting the game. They were gonna fucking delay the game and or get somebody else to start. They were gonna fucking postpone the game for later in the afternoon. Once they figured it out, he comes walking through the fucking crowd and starts the game in, I guess, maybe the lady's dress who he slept it with the night before. These are all fucking true stories, dude. Baseball players were eccentric motherfuckers. Like, a lot of them are like artists, like how rock stars get all crazy and eccentric, and a lot of baseball players are like that. Like, like now you have like a slew of people who are like flying their racism flag now because of all the bullshit that's going on. So you have like Ty Cobb, who wouldn't give a shit. This motherfucker would talk to the Detroit press, and he would fucking drop the N-word, hard R, and all, like every other word, like how I say fuck. This guy was dropping the N-word. Yeah. So, like fucking, I don't know. Like, I'm just saying, like, there were weirdos. Like, a lot of fucking people who just, like, stood out that were just characters, good and bad. You have villains and shit, too. Some people painted fucking, depending on what part of the country you're in, painted fucking Babe Ruth as a villain. I mean, he's a hero to me, but,
Yeah. I mean, not definitely. I don't want to defend Ty Cobb's racism because that was fucked up. But the one thing I did appreciate about Ty Cobb, he was like a true ball player. Like, he hated Babe Ruth. Like, he would say, like, I can go out and hit 60 home runs, but that's fucking boring. Like, I want to win games. I want to get on base. I want to hit RBIs.
He liked the small ball, the hustle.
And he played hard. Like, he got into a lot of fights. Like I said, I don't condone fucking racism from anybody. But like, aside that, he was a fucking fantastic ball player. His stats prove it. And I like that he was like in an age where like everybody celebrated Babe Ruth, and I respect Babe Ruth too because he contributed to baseball. But like Ty Cobb was able to do like almost everything except like, I mean, he probably wasn't the best fielder. Like, his fielding stats were like,
he was a shortstop, right? He was a shortstop.
Yeah, but I mean, he was good. But I mean, compared to like Omar Vizquel or like anybody like on that caliber, like he wasn't that good.
Yeah, but, he wasn't a Derek Jeter. But he would never play with Derek Jeter. That guy would never be on the field with me. It was like, yeah, but you want to know something? He got rings though.
He does. Yeah, he does.
I think Ty Cobb probably had rings too. He wouldn't probably survive in today's climate. I don't think too long.
Especially in 2020. No.
Do you think they're going to have a Ty Cobb Day in Detroit next season?
You know what? If that's a statue you want to, if you want to knock down that statue, hey, people were probably like, all right, whatever. Like, do what you got to do.
It's Ty Cobb. Fuck.
Like, we'll give you that one.
Yeah. We had Justin Verlander for a couple of seasons in his prime. So, well, not his prime lasted a long time, actually. Justin Verlander's prime is his whole career. But, like, he was fucking, like hitting the ground running when he was a rookie. Even. He was fucking lights out. I mean, all right. So now check this out. Even getting into Justin Verlander and how like he's the prime ace, right, in Houston. So you see a lot of the projections and stuff, and I'm sure you could probably be happy about this because you got the Yankee T-shirt on right now, and that they're predicting a Yankees-Dodgers World Series as a likelihood with the 60-game season. Now, I mean, I'm sure, like, I could ask you if you agree, but I know what the answer is, that the Yankees could make it. Yes, I think the Yankees can make it too in the American League. But that's without saying that there aren't formidable opponents that are still out there. And I think the Astros are still a threat only because they don't have any fans in attendance. Nobody's watching the fucking Astros. So, since nobody's watching the Astros and it's easy for them to just, like shake it off, not unless they're being taunted by players, do you think the Astros are contenders still?
I don't think so. I think their time is up. I think that even though they're not going to have the fans to deal with over the course of the season, I think they're going to have to deal with the media in some way, shape, or form. I think that the fact that they're getting thrown out already is already kind of a sign of things to come. And I don't think they're going to be able to handle it. I think they're going to try to cry foul, and their performance is going to reflect that. They're going to not. I think they're like very talented ball players, right. But I think that the fact that they're not going to know what's coming is going to perhaps expose them, or they could rally around it and then like give us, like as they said in Major League, a big shit burger to eat. But I don't think that. I think that they've had an advantage for a while. I think it's going to be exposed, and I feel bad for guys like Verlander and guys who did it the right way, because now Verlander is going to maybe lose those 2-1 games that he maybe could have won if they would have been cheated, and his stats are going to reflect it. So I think that's going to be the outcome of their season.
Yeah, well, like a lot of people are also, like quick to count out teams like the Angels and like
the
Tampa.
Rays, dude. The Rays. I mean, if you look at the Rays, they had like with basically the lowest payroll in the fucking league.
They made it happen. Moneyball. It's Moneyball.
Every 2 years. It's crazy. Like everybody, like they have zero fan base. They literally are the cheapest fucking team. They for somehow put teams together. And they trade away Longoria. They trade away the Casimir. Any stud they get away, and they still find like guys from God knows where, and they win like 80 games.
It's the algorithm. It's the baseball algorithm. It's the Moneyball algorithm, and they're all fucking, like they understand. Like, listen, you could do this, but like a lot of people in bigger markets like the allure of a giant player, like L.A. Mookie Betts. He's worth $500 million. He might generate, because the thing is, stars shine in LA. Yeah. You get Kareem Abdul-Jabbar goes from Milwaukee and then goes to LA and becomes gigantic. Like, he was already a superstar. Lights out. Had a fantastic high school and college fucking record. He goes to LA. Anybody who goes to LA as an athlete, they end up fucking blowing up, especially like LeBron couldn't have gotten any bigger. He goes to LA. He's even bigger than, he doesn't even have to produce like he used to, but he's even bigger than he ever was, because it just stacks onto your fucking, it's like becoming a Yankee. It's like Jason Giambi had, a decent career before, you know what I mean? He was at the Athletics. He was juicing, hitting home runs, goes to the Yankees. No one's ever going to forget about you. They may have forgotten about him if he didn't become a Yankee. And there's a lot of other people you could say that with too, who graduate to the Yankees. It's like you graduate to the Lakers. You graduate to the Dodgers. Like, the Dodgers now are a fucking big market team. They are the big market team in LA. It's the National League team, which is not likely. Usually the American League team is the big market team. Well, no, that's not true. That's a lie. I don't know.
Well, I think the Dodgers nowadays, though.
Yeah, it's the Dodgers nowadays, but I'm saying like it's the Cubs in Chicago, but it's definitely the Yankees in New York. And I think there's no other two team cities, right? That's it. Chicago, New York, and LA.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Boston, but now I feel like they're rebuilding. So yeah, but I mean, I guess when they're in their prime, maybe.
Because there's something they stay frozen for a long time. The Red Sox, they stay stagnant for decades, and then they have like a resurgence with a great team, and they'll be like semi-dynasty for like 8 seasons.
Yeah, but I'm saying, don't you remember that run in New York? Like before I moved out of New York, I remember there was it seemed like there was like a resurgence of Red Sox fans. Like for some reason, like during those like 2 World Series runs, it was like, I don't know if it was. I know like. I'm not calling you one of these, but I know there was a lot of Mets fans that like were Red Sox fans. Yeah, Red Sox fans. So I'm not sure if it was I was like.
I relish '86. I relish.
Yeah. Like I was like, I don't know if I was fooled.
Yeah, no, I would definitely. This is the thing, like Boston guy, I'd be like, oh, he's a Met fan. It's okay. He's a Met fan. I'll be like, yeah, but we still like the fucking floor with you. I would still start a fight and be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, is that so? And I'd be like, yeah, that's so. Yeah, 86, motherfucker. 86. I ain't trying to be buddies with anybody. This is a sport, motherfucker. We won.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
no mercy.
Yeah, if I was old enough to understand what was going on, I would have been rooting for the Mets. I don't want to see the Red Sox win anything. So it's like, that's the only thing I like. Sometimes I get upset. It's like when with Gabe, like, I mean, before when we played the Phillies, like. He was like, I still remember when he called me like before the season. He's like, I never thought I'd say this, but please beat the fucking Phillies. He's like, I don't want to see you guys win another World Series.
He had that moment. I did too. Yeah, I did too. I agreed with him 100%. But Yankee fans were definitely in '86. Yankee fans were rooting for the Mets, and I have this I have this corroborated by many a Yankee fan who were like, we wanted to see them go down because they had nothing to root for with the Yankees in the mid '80s. It was like a rebuilding. They literally rebuilt, and Mattingly was the top guy. I mean, they had Willie Randolph. They had a couple of guys, but Mattingly was the star of the team.
Mattingly too.
Yeah, and he ends up carrying the team for a while, and in '95, '96 was when they got it right. 81 was the last good team they had until 95, 95, 96.
Yep.
I mean, some people said that, they might have had the World Series in 94 had there been a season. You know what I mean? Like, there's also speculation with that shit, too. Which is sort of what I was afraid about happening, because the last time I was this depressed about fucking baseball, the steroid era didn't even faze me either. That didn't faze me nearly as much as the strike in '94. I was like, this could happen. You could just stop playing baseball. I thought baseball was an essential. I thought they were essential workers. I thought they were essential workers. I was like, I didn't understand that as a child. Though I understand, I was like 12, 13 years old when this happened. So I was like, athletes could just stop working? Get the fuck out of here. I was like, this is bullshit. They actually had a T-shirt for sale at a sporting goods store that said it was a baseball glove with the middle finger up, right? And it said underneath, thanks. It said, thank you for a great '94 season. And it was like a middle finger. And I wore that shirt, and I was told to turn it inside out in school. But I digress. Anyway, so it was the last time I was that fucking sad about that. I don't know if you remember that experience of them actually canceling baseball for a whole season. A whole season. That's not even just because of a disease. It's just because of we want to get paid more, which they ended up doing it. This Mookie Betts is the end result now of that. You're seeing Trout and all these other guys get big money, and I hope Mookie Betts is worth it. You know what I mean? I feel guys like can carry a team. I feel like there are guys that can be the star for a long time, and that I like that classic kind of thing. And if he's willing to stay there for 12 seasons, it's admirable for players to make that decision. Everybody's fighting against they're getting paid too much. It's like, okay, I understand. Okay, they're getting paid a lot. Okay, they are getting paid a lot. But the thing is, if somebody's saying like, you got me on lock for 12 years, you don't have that in basketball. You don't have that in football. You don't have that. You have that in hockey. Actually, you get a lot of hockey players or like lifers with the team, but you stop getting that with baseball for a while. I mean, you have like a David Wright. Yeah, he's with the team for a long time. You get, Derek Jeter, he's with the team for a long time. Bernie Williams, the team for a long time. And we know guys like that, and that's what makes us nostalgic about baseball. But for about a decade, you get a lot of guys, they're only signing for like 4 or 5 years in a shot, and they're studs, super studs. And then it's like after Manny, I feel like. Because Manny really shook up the fucking pot with the negotiations to where it was Boston was just like, fuck you. And send him to the Dodgers. Send him to the fucking Dodgers.
Or A-Rod too. A-Rod fucked everything up too, because theoretically, if Aaron Boone doesn't go out and play basketball and fucking tear his ACL, we never get A-Rod. It's like
the necessity for A-Rod doesn't happen. Yeah, and it's opportunity. Listen, I'm a fan of capitalism, and I totally understand that.
Amen.
You gotta be opportunistic sometimes, and sometimes the alligator does have to snap. I hated A-Rod back then. I feel differently about him now, and that's not because he was trying to purchase the Mets. I don't want him to be the Mets owner or co-owner or whatever. I want Cohen to get the team, but
not a bad choice.
Yeah, I do like him as a sportscaster. Like, he's actually really good calling games. He's pleasant. You know what I mean? It feels like he knows he's got bat IQ. You know what I mean? And he's got baseball IQ. It's like how people have fight IQ. Like they're just smart about it. They may not be like they're seasoned veterans, but they may not be the most epic champion. But the knowledge that they have is definitely like in him, he was on the road to fucking being like, the next Babe Ruth or the next fucking well, actually it would be Barry Bonds would be the better comparison because the roids and everything. But
he was on pace at one point before the injuries and shit. He was on pace to break Bonds' record for home runs, but then obviously the book came out and yada yada yada, and then he got hurt, and then he never got there. But
yeah, I mean, listen, you know what? It's also karma. Like I said, I don't believe in hocus pocus outside of baseball. But if you abuse the privilege too much sometimes it'll bite you in the ass, and you got to be humble as a baseball player. That's why I love, you get even baseball players who get paid big bucks who are just like humble motherfuckers. You know what I mean? You get guys, who are humble baseball players. You know what I mean? I feel like they're more humble than football players and basketball players.
Yeah.
They're less egotistical, even though there is ego in the game. Baseball still don't get me wrong. There's still a high bar that everybody sets. You know what I mean? And you're picked on by your stats day in and day out. Like there was a time where Derek Jeter batted under 200 back in 2005.
Yep.
2005. Before July, he was batting 190. Unlike Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter does not bat under 250 this deep into the season. And he had a low average. He wasn't doing anything. That year, I knew that's when I had to fucking pull the trigger, and I fucking traded for him, and I ended up getting Derek Jeter, and he batted 460 for the rest of the season. You see, the Yankees were even then contemplating on whether or not they should fucking cut Derek Jeter. Send Derek Jeter to the minors. He needs a little fucking work. 2 seconds later, back at it. This motherfucker's hitting career high for the second half of the season. He broke his own record, batting over. He's only done 350. By 100, fucking he beat it. And I reaped all the benefits of that in my fantasy league. But what I'm saying is that, there's a possibility of that. Guys are scrutinized. Even the best are scrutinized. That you got to go down. Albert Pujols, who thankfully still has a spot in LA, St. Louis was contemplated. And he spent a lot of time in the fucking minors just injured, you know what I mean? Like recovering from injury. But even they contemplated whether or not to fucking bring him up. And he's still a hot bat. He still hits. As a DH, he hits close to 30 home runs a season. He hits like 25, 26, 27. And this may be his last season, and we want to see him go. I didn't like him when he was playing against the Mets as a Cardinal, but, I still wish him well. I still like a baseball player retiring. You know what I mean? I give them all respect. It's like salute to you. Thank you for all the memories, good and bad. You know what I mean? Watching players fucking retire is awesome. But
I hear you. I fucking hated Trot Nixon as a Red Sox, and but I respect him because he just seemed against the Yankees. He was fucking Mickey Mantle, like he was their fucking Ted Williams. Like every time he played the Yankees in the playoffs, it didn't matter if it was Roger Clemens, Andy Pettitte. He always got a big hit at a big spot. And he's like that.
He was like a Chipper Jones. He was like a Chipper. We had Chipper Jones. You guys had Trot Nixon. But what about Pedro?
He was our Chipper Jones.
Pedro? Tell me how you feel about. Tell me how you feel about Pedro. What do you feel about Pedro? Tell me. Pedro.
Well, I mean, we owned him, so I don't really mind him. I mean, I respect him as far as like his ability. I think he had a resurgence with you guys when he went to the Mets.
A little bit. I think he.
I mean, not as like successful with the Red Sox.
14 wins.
Yeah, but I think he is at a time where you guys needed like an ace for and especially when you guys needed like a veteran for the younger guys coming up, he was perfect.
In the mid 2000s, you needed that that Yoda kind of in the dugout.
Yeah,
and he's actually a really nice guy. Me and my wife met him as we were coming home for our fucking honeymoon.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, he was mobbed by fans. I was like, who the hell is this guy with the afro in front of us? And I'm like, it's like I couldn't even form words. I was like, it's Pedro. And my wife ended up, we were talking with them, but I was starstruck half the time, and we were just chatting. She was the one who was fucking chatting, and she had no fucking idea who he was. She thought he was just some dude that I knew. She thought it was some dude I knew. Because I was just Pedro standing in front of us. We spoke to him, but my wife actually spoke to him most of the time for a half hour as we were going through customs. It was interesting. He's actually really nice, and he seems like that kind of person who would he likes baseball players love the fucking game. You get people who will retire from football and will never look back at it. Most of the guys who want to be in the game become commentators. Or try to have something that satellites football. You know what I mean? But you get a lot of players who are just I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to talk about football. I don't even, but you get a lot of baseball players who even outside of the game, even though they're not doing something that's tied to the game, who love talking about the game, I'm not sure what the fuck Jim Edmonds does, but I think he does like some sort of like he invested money in something. He's got businesses that, like a lot of, athletes will just invest in something and that'll be what they do afterwards. So I don't know if it's like real estate or whatever, but even, like they wait for the opportunity to talk about it like we do. Like I wait for like, oh man, I know this guy at work loves baseball. All right, I'm gonna wait for fucking break time and we're gonna fucking talk baseball at the water cooler or at the fucking coffee cart or wherever the fuck you are at work. That baseball dude. I'm gonna fucking want to chat this guy up and we're gonna waste a half an hour just fucking talking about fucking baseball.
Mm-hmm.
But players are like that. Baseball players are passionate about it to the point where it's almost religious. You know what I mean? And it's therapeutic too. Dude, if you go to the cages, for me, I'm not a player. I'm familiar. I own equipment. I've always had fucking baseball shit. Gloves, balls, bats, got it all, right? Mm-hmm. And I love just to play catch. It's therapeutic. To swing at fucking, at a pitching machine is fucking fun, dude. And it's cathartic. Like, it's really like hitting a heavy bag. It's the same thing. Like, you feel like it's a release. And if you're doing it in a productive way, like even like pick up softball games with my boys in Marine Park, we would do that shit. And afterwards, like, I felt more fulfilled than I would have if I ran, like 5 miles or if I, biked fucking 20 miles. I just felt more fulfilled because then there's camaraderie that goes along with it. You all playing together, the amount of players on the field, 9 and 9, there's 18 of you, and 18 people to me is a fucking small party, especially if you got coolers full of beers. So imagine doing that with all your buddies and that's your job. You're never going to want to leave that shit. You know that you're going to become worn out by right now, I'm at retirement age for a baseball player. So I would be calling it quits within the next year or two, especially depending on the position. If I'm a catcher, I probably retired 2 years ago. You know what I mean? If I'm, don't have a lot of wear damage and I'm a pitcher, I could probably go another 2 or 3 seasons. But the thing is, with GH, but the thing is I'm looking at wow, imagine if I became a ball player, I'd be retiring soon. I'd miss the fucking shit out of that. I'm thinking about not being around baseball now with COVID. And that hurts. So imagine you being a baseball player and then it's like, all right, I got to let this go and I'm not even 40 yet. That's got to be like, all you want to do is just talk shop, talk about baseball. And a lot of these players, they still have that kind of love and respect for it. And that's what's awesome about the sport. You don't really see it with a lot of others.
No, it's true, man. I miss it so much. I'll tell you a quick story. When my freshman year of college, my baseball team, I was on a team that was like 97% Dominican and Puerto Rican and 3% white. And our college coach basically said every position's wide open because the year before that we were awful. Like, we were terrible. So he recruited a bunch of new guys and basically said, there's no starters. So the first month of the season, we hated each other. Like, we were so competitive. We were rooting for the other one to fail and
that's fucked up.
And yeah, it was the worst for the first month. It was there was fights every day. It was awful. But eventually, once we figured out who were the best 9, we all kind of rallied around the common theme. All right, let's just go win. Let's just try to get this program better than it was, because for the last 2 years it was 0 and 32. It was the shitty Division III college, and eventually we kind of brought common, or different ideas and different nationalities together, and we were overly successful. And that's the first thing I thought about during the pandemic too, was I'd rather be around those guys the first month where we hate each other.
In that shitty situation. Yeah.
Amen. Yeah, exactly.
Because at least there was baseball. At least there was baseball, and you guys were able to have a camaraderie about that, even though it boiled down to that. It boiled down to okay, well, we're gonna be dicks to each other, but baseball is healing all wounds right now. Yeah. And it does, dude. It does. It's super fucking therapeutic. My mom loves baseball. I took my mom. The last baseball game I took my mom to was Noah Syndergaard's only 9-inning complete game shutout that he ever pitched. So she got to witness that. So I'm this is it's a piece of Mets history. It's not the bigger picture. It's not we're watching, Tom Seaver fucking, in his prime, strike out fucking 12 guys and fucking pitch a scoreless game. You know what I mean? But it's still, he's a big name. She got to witness that, and she was fucking, wow, I can't believe that. She's still amazed by baseball, and that's what's cool. People who are into it don't get bored by it. Like other
No.
people who aren't into it are like, it's boring. That makes me fall asleep. But people who are passionate about it, dude, it's just like soccer players. Soccer fans. Like, like they're diehard. Baseball fans are just as diehard, I feel. We're just not as, we're worldwide. Yeah, we are, but it's not as abundant. Soccer,
Yeah.
that's got
I also think
a lot.
because we know the intangible stuff, like me and you could know that the travesty of a leadoff walk, right? Like most times when a pitcher like walks the leadoff hitter, they most of the time score. So like to the average fan watching
Is that an Armando Benitez dig? Are you digging at me because of Armando Benitez?
Well, no, I just I mean, I just as just playing baseball, I know from like just being a first baseman, also being lazy and having to watch the runner. But it's also like it just sets baseball is a momentum game. So like by walking the first guy, it already sets the trend that you can't throw strikes. So now it sets the tone for the hitters to say, let's have this pitcher throw. So if he can't throw strikes and he's just going to let a merry-go-round of people score without swinging, then the smart hitters are going to let that happen.
Well, you're going to have to be ready for the pickoff like every 2 fucking seconds. You got to be like.
That's another annoying part too.
It's nerve-wracking. It definitely is. I feel for the first baseman when that fucking goes down because that's something like third basemen don't really have to go through. I mean, they could be like if it's like bases loaded, like maybe it's nerve-wracking for everybody who's covering a base, but. Like, when it's leadoff walk, like you just said, dude, it's like, okay, it's the first baseman who's really fucking trying to get this guy out, and like you said, pitcher's not credible, can't throw a strike.
And most times, if it's like, especially in the beginning of the game, most player, I don't want to say like every player, but they'll mostly have a left-handed hitter batting second.
Right.
Because if the leadoff hitter does get on, now if I'm holding the runner on, there's a huge gap on the right side. So now it makes it easier for the left-handed hitter as long as he gets it through the middle part of the right side. He's got an easy base hit because now I'm having to hold the runner, so half of that side is wide open, and the second baseman has to play closer to the middle because he has to play double play depth. So now essentially, if the left-handed hitter is hitting second,
the grass right behind the dirt is fucking exposed. All you need to do is drop the hit right there, and that's it. And that's another. That could be man from first to third. Or even could bring him home, depending on how far it rolls back to right field. And right fielders aren't, I mean, you do have athletic right fielders, but usually they stick the guy who's, all right, this guy is not that great of a fucking outfield catch, but he can play the outfield. And they put them there, and that's where you're at most risk because a center fielder playing, like a guy who's like a fucking sick athlete center fielder playing right field is going to make that catch. But your typical fucking right fielder is not going to and is going to fucking have to scoop something up way back there, and by that time, if the guy's a fast base runner from first, could make it home. That's an RBI. That's an RBI.
Yeah,
well,
and
that's
then all
how
of
it's
a sudden,
supposed to happen.
Yeah, because to your point, whatever happens, like say to your point, it's a fast leadoff hitter, he gets to third, first and third, nobody out. But even if it's a base hit and he stays at second, I mean, I like my 3-hitter with nobody out, first and second, to say he hits a deep fly ball to right field, the runner from second to bat. Now you got one out with first and third, and like you said, even if you get one run that inning, it's still a successful inning. You still got to the pitcher, but I feel like that's my like from my experience, and I feel like a lot of pitchers don't make it, even if they have good stuff, because they don't throw strikes.
Right.
And like Tim Wakefield was a great example. Guy threw fucking 65 miles an hour.
Yeah, but he was a knuckleballer, right? Wakefield was a knuckleballer, right?
He was.
Okay, like Dickey and fucking so many other future Hall of Famers and or Hall of Famers now. Yeah. That's something that I definitely like. DL wanted to bring up, maybe not on this podcast, but knuckleball pitchers are a phenomenon to me, and it's like one of those tricky pitches that was invented back in back in the day, after the turn of the century in the 1900s. And guys would do that to just fuck somebody up. It was like the corkscrew pitch. It's like, woo, it's like that didn't exist. But people would see a ball just fucking spin drop, and they're like, holy shit, did that spin around? It's like, no, it arced and dropped at such a motion that it looked like it spun under like a hook. Mm-hmm. So it gave the illusion, and that's the thing, that white streak that you see fucking going past you at 100 miles an hour, and even when guys would pitch maybe not so hard back then, going 80 miles an hour to a 55 mile an hour pitch is still a jump, dude. Because right now we're dealing with that same sort of speed change with your breaking ball is 69 miles an hour, but your fucking fastball is 92. You know what I mean? So it's like it's similar in sort of the diff, like how like the speed. It's like 30 miles an hour is chopped off. Let's just say, or 25 miles an hour is chopped off. So that difference in the fastball changeup is still relevant from then to now. And if you're a knuckleballer, right, and you're used to just throwing that stationary ball that just doesn't even spin in air and just like floats and still moves somehow, you know what I mean? It fucks people up because it looks like you know what it looks like? It looks like when you watch a helicopter in that frame per second thing, like where they do that like frame per second thing on the fucking video where it looks like the blades don't move. Knuckleball pitchers, that's what it looks like they're doing. It looks like when they throw that pitch, you're used to seeing the fucking seams spin at you, and it'd be like a thin red and white blur coming at you, but instead it's just a floating ball, and you don't know when to swing. You know what I mean? Like, I've never had a knuckleball pitch to me, but when you watch it from the perspective of like the umpire or the catcher, like when they have like a body cam on or something, it's like, holy shit, is that magic? It almost looks like it's fucking magic. You know what I mean?
I've seen him up close. I'll be honest, and I'm sure like a lot of people who ever played will say the same thing. I'd rather see a 97 mile an hour fastball than a 78 mile an hour knuckleball, because at least with a fastball you could see the seam, like you could see like the way the pitcher is like releasing it, so you'll have a good time to react to the pitch. With a knuckleball, they hide it so well, and like it's like you said, it's hypnotizing because it looks like it's just like a changeup. And all of a sudden, it's going side to side, and it just dies. And it's like, oh my god! Like, even if you hit it, that's why like a lot of guys, like most guys that were successful knuckleball hitters, they swung with like a 37-ounce bat because they just wanted to like swing with something like that would at least, like, if they did make contact, would at least try to get the ball out of the infield.
Blast it, it would blast it. Yeah. I think that 37 ounce, that's pretty fucking heavy, right? That's heavy, right? I think
actually, that's probably a little exaggerated. I would say like maybe 35, because I think Babe Ruth used like a 36. Like that was
big guys, I guess you definitely used heavier bats because
Alfonso Soriano actually used a 34.5 inch. Like he was like one of those skinny dudes that like was all about swinging like just a heavy bat as like hard.
Well, he was wiry. He had like that, well, of course I'm going to throw the Mets reference, but like Darryl Strawberry, like where he wasn't a power hitter. But the thing is, when he hit a home run, that swing fucking sent that shit out. And maybe he was good for about 30 home runs a season, but he was good for RBIs and doubles like that because he hit like that. You know what I mean? With a heavy bat, a heavy swing. True. Yeah, Soriano was good, man. But he played. Who else? He played for Texas after that, or who did he play for?
He was the A-Rod chip. He was the one guy plus like the compensation draft pick.
He was a good Yankee, man. Alfonso Soriano was a good Yankee, man. I like that guy.
He was. Yeah. I mean, at the time, it made sense because it was like, he was willing to play third. And apparently, if Soriano was willing to play third, they wouldn't even entertain that trade. It was the fact that, like they asked Soriano to move over to second and third. Even though he was he was a natural second baseman. But I think, like, the fact that the Yankees told you to do something and you didn't do it, like, they're like, all right, well, we'll go out and get fucking A-Rod and we'll trade you. And he's like, oh shit, okay.
That happened before they got Miguel. Wait, was it Miguel Cairo? Was their second baseman before Soriano or after?
Yeah, I think. He might have been platooning before, because I know when they had him, like he kind of bounced around everywhere. He was like a second baseman, third baseman. I'm not
utility guy. He was on the Mets, I know, after he was on the Yankees. But I remember he was that second baseman for a little while.
Yeah, I think he was on that last World Series we had before they moved over to the new stadium. Oh, well, actually no. Was it? Fuck. Not the
2009. 2009 was the new stadium. So
yeah. I think he was on that team. What was
I gonna say? Hold on a second.
We're talking about Soriano.
It was something clever. Fuck about Alfonso Soriano. Shit. It's okay.
Fuck.
Anyway, I missed that. There's a lot of players that I missed too. You know what I mean? And from that era, you just see like some of the guys are still around, like Pujols, like I said before. He's still like lurking around. You get, like Ichiro Suzuki's like, I think he's a batting coach now, right? Man, he's still lurking in the
He is,
shadows.
yeah, he is for the Mariners. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like there's guys that are still active and stuff as far as like it goes. I mean, you could call them ancient, but it sucks because it's like, wait a minute, they're ancient and I'm fucking ancient. You know what I mean? And like there's a lot of history with baseball and stuff like that, but I feel like now it's like people like to say new era, and all this stuff. Like it's like not, I don't mean the baseball caps, but I mean like it's starting to be like a change, like okay, universal DH rule and all this shit, and that everything's fucking changing with baseball now. As far as like now, it's like, well, how are we going to deal with COVID and fans, and like this is all sports, so like you see these little adaptations, like they put the crowd noise over like the like the television. I don't know if the players are hearing that. I have no idea if they're distracted by it or if it helps, if it's like therapeutic for them to feel like that there's like a white noise of fans behind them. I know what I do like is at Citi Field with the cutouts. I think that's dope. You know what I mean? Because it's like
yeah.
It's almost like what they're doing in Korea. It's totally a bite off of the Korea idea. But Korea, I think they were doing like plush dolls. Didn't they have like teddy bears and shit on one game? And then next one they had like something else. They had a theme. Like there was always like a theme with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they maybe had Disney princesses or some shit. I don't fucking know. Like it was, they had like a like that cool thing going. It's like, okay, so you are filling the stands, but as far as business goes, I like the idea of you being able to, okay, you could buy your picture to be put in the stands or in the seats behind home plate, and you can see yourself on TV, but it's a cutout of you, but the team is making money off of it to make up for the revenue, the lost revenue from ticket sales. And I don't want my team to go away, you know what I mean? And it fucking sucks that you can't go to a game. You know what I mean? I mean, for present circumstances, obviously, who would want to go to a game? I do not want to fucking go to anything that's crowded at all. At
this moment, don't you think though, like objectively, don't you think say they announce like we're gonna let 250 people a day go to games, and as long as you're spread, like I mean, think about how big a baseball stadium is. Like
you're spread out with 250 people. Yeah, there's the.
I'm just going there. Very conservative. I would say even 1,000, even 5,000.
You could probably easily do 1,000 and nobody even interacts with each other.
Exactly. Exactly. Like having
like you're in your group, like me, you, like let's say, like me, you, and Gabe, and my buddy Lou. We all go to a game, Yankees Mets at whatever stadium. It doesn't matter. And we go, right? And we got our seats, and fucking the next person sitting next to us is like 2 sections over, like 11 rows in front of us. Like, okay, well, we may have paid a pretty penny for that, but even still, like, who's to say that you can't do that? You know what I mean? Like, I understand no concerts, okay? But, like if there's like a band that's like, you know what, we're going to do a private show for a couple of, socially distant groups of fans, and you have like 25 people that you play in front of, but they all paid like a fucking, I don't know what affordable is for anybody, but let's just say like if it's a couple $100 as opposed to the $30 they would have paid to see them at a venue, or a concert hall or something. Like, let's say, a concert ticket for them would be $50, but you paid $250 or $400 or some shit like that to go watch your favorite band play. But you're easily a good 15, 20 feet away from them, but you're also 10 to 15 feet away from all the other people who are there. And, like your section, they I feel like they can make things like that happen. But what sucks is that does divide people, because it's saying, could you afford to do that? This act has to make their money in order to live. And it's like the same way as you could go to work, they're losing work too. So, like, what is it? Is it a privilege thing? Is it like, okay, well, you have the money to go and fucking pay $300 to go watch so-and-so band play when we would have all been able to watch them for $25 last year? Like, oh, fuck you, dude. We don't get to see. So you got a lot of resentment in people and be like, oh, well, I could do this and you can't. So that maybe that's probably why it's not happening, and they don't want that kind of fucking divide with people, because you had plenty of people who could be like, I could get nosebleed seats at Citi Field for $20. I could take my whole family to the game. You know what I mean? I know it's a lot more expensive at Yankee Stadium, but even still, you could get bleacher seats. You know what I mean? And fucking, and it's affordable for 2 or 3 people. You know what I mean, or 4 people even. And but if you're gonna go to a fucking super restricted exclusive event, it's like, yeah, they're definitely going to want to make their end. Like, if you're sitting in a section by yourself, you're probably paying for a good fucking 1/3 of the seats there, just for you to be there. And you're not even getting anything special like meet and greets, because nobody's going to be doing meet and greets for a minute, bro. Nobody's signing shit unless you're mailing it to them and they're fucking throwing sanitizer on that shit and sending it back.
That's true. No, that's a great point, and that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
So I don't see that happening as far as like the exclusivity thing. I mean, maybe with music, but probably not with sports. Only because also players are afraid of fucking corona too. So, they may not want a whole bunch of other people breathing in a closed arena. Maybe an open stadium is possible. So baseball, I could see that happening with, or soccer, or maybe football. But that's another thing. Football's coming up, bro. Okay, I know we've been talking a lot about baseball, but let's turn our gears to football, because football's coming up pretty soon. It's almost August, and they're talking regular season. And they're not talking augmented. They're not talking like 60-game baseball cut down. They're talking about, we're playing our 16-game, 17-week season, and there's going to be Super Bowl when the Super Bowl's happening. And maybe there's not going to be fans in some cities, but there'll be fans in others. Like, they haven't even defined on whether there's going to be any patronage at any of these venues for football. And fanless football it's different than fanless baseball. It's different than fanless basketball. Basketball is like a small court, you know what I mean? You can consolidate that camera angle, you know what I mean? When you're watching baseball, you get the view from the plate, you get the view, couple shots from the outfield. Yeah, usually when you watch baseball games, you see empty seats.
Mm-hmm.
So, Phil, what do you think? Fanless football, it'll look different. I mean, do you agree, or like how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think the way things are going, I don't even see football happening, because I mean, the fact, like, just seeing how baseball is now on TV, like the fact that even the way the dugouts, and I get it, like, and I'm all for following the rules. I know sometimes I go against the grain with certain things, but it's like, at the end of the day, I want what's best for everybody. But at the same time, it's like, I think we could all, like to your point, it's a big outdoor stadium. If we social distance, we should be okay. It's not like I said, we're not in a dome per se. We're at an outdoor. If we're in Nationals Park and Citi Field, we're all breathing air. We're all separating. We should be good. Like, and we're all like, I'm sure those guys are getting tested for corona too before games.
Yeah, well, yeah, so you see them popping for it. A lot of them.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, it's been working. Like Soto got, he got tested positive. He's staying away, and baseball is continuing on. So to me, it's like, if we're doing everything the right way, if we're testing these guys and they're like, let them just like to me, it's like, and I get it. Like, we're trying to, also send a good message, but it's like, sports are like our one fucking escape from everything. So to me, it's like, if these guys are good, like, let them hang out in the dugout. Like, to your point, like, once that college team I was on, like, once we got like close with each other, we like went on like an 8-game winning streak, and we were like as tight as could be. Like, we got into like, we were playing in like the worst neighborhood in Bronx. We were playing Bronx Community College, and like one of our guys got beamed, and there was like people throwing shit out of the state. Like, this is a meaningless like Division III college baseball game.
Yeah.
There's 15 people in the stands. It's a meaningless game, but like, they were all ready to kill, and like, we all like huddle at the mound. We're like, we don't give a shit. We're gonna beat these people on their fucking field, and we're gonna rub it in. And that's exactly what we did. And cops were called. Like,
Detroit Pistons. Yeah. You were like, yo, we're gonna be the Detroit Pistons of college.
We were like, they were throwing. Like, we got on our shitty school bus to like go back to Manhattan College.
Yeah.
While getting stuff throwing at us on the bus, and it was like we're all like, I still text these guys to this day, like, hey, remember that time, like. And as obviously we're all in different places in our life, but it's like, and what was ironic is like, we hated each other a month prior to that, and a month later we were ready to fight like whoever for each other. It was like we totally went from one extreme to the other.
Sounds like the Avengers.
Yeah, it was. I mean, to a very, very low extent of that.
Yeah. We were the Avengers with absolutely no power whatsoever.
and winning a meaningless Division III baseball
Yeah.
game. And
Yeah.
like,
I mean, hey, man, fuck it, man. Yo, victories, you got to relish the victories when you get them because you don't never know when you're going to win again. You know,
well, especially
honestly,
when
you
you
got,
went from hating like the guy that was pitching, like we all hated him, and like the fact that he's the guy that closed out the game, and like it was it was like the game itself was competitive too, like it was back and forth. It was like, and we were screaming, and like it was most of it was like them yelling at each other in Spanish. So I was like, I don't know what anybody's saying. Is it bad or good? But it was
you
definitely a
got to
fun
call over
time.
the translator for that. You're like,
I,
hey, man, all right, listen, I need to know what's going on with my team.
I was like, are we
You
gonna
got to
make it
know
out of
what's
here
going on
alive?
with my
Do I need to make like other arrangements?
team. Fucking yeah. So I mean, like, you know what? I'm like as I was afraid about everything else. Like, you know, like I don't want football to get canceled. I want to figure out a good way to do it. You know, I understand like there's more people on a football team and there's more people to make that production go ahead. You know, like there's a lot of people. Like, you got to understand. Like, yeah, okay, there's 25 players. So you got 50 players in baseball, and then you got the coaching staff and yada yada yada. So yeah, maybe you have another like 2 dozen guys, right? So it's all right. So now that's 75 people who have to be in the stadium, plus maintenance staff and everybody else who runs the show. And ownership has to be somewhere, right? Maybe in the offices up in, the grandstand. So in the building, there's got to be at least 200 fucking people during a baseball game. You know what I mean? And so with football, I understand there's more. So you probably more. There's probably like 400 people to get that kind of production to go because they got the camera angles and all that shit. That's what I was talking about. You pull that camera angle back on that zip line, you're going to see nobody. In baseball, yeah, you saw nobody in the stands. But I could turn on a regular season game in the afternoon and that same view. You see nobody out there, like, because nobody's there because they're at work at fucking 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So
Yep.
of course there's
Or like
fucking nobody
watch
there.
Watch a Rays game. Like you'll see nobody there
Or a
either.
Marlins game. Or a Marlins game. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
that's
can
it. Yeah.
easily do that. That's something that's fucking strange. In Florida, you figure they'd be baseball crazy down here. What the fuck, bro? You get fandom from other places. That's what you do get a lot of. But you don't get people who love Florida baseball. I haven't met a Marlins fan or a fucking Devil Rays fan. I call them the Devil Rays still. And the Devil Rays fan, you haven't seen any of them down here. And I mean, there's a shit ton of Miami Hurricanes fans, Dolphins fans. Surprisingly, there's still Dolphins fans. You get Tampa Bay fans. You get fucking Buccaneers fans who live down here. You see the fucking Salt Life sticker, Buccaneers sticker. Like you see, you know what I mean? So it boggles the mind that this could be where we train for baseball, and like the fandom isn't that strong from the native population. Which is fucking strange. But they are crazy about football. They do love football. They do love college sports down here. College sports huge. FSU is huge. Like I said, the Miami Hurricanes are huge. The Seminoles are huge. Like, they fucking love college sports down here. So I feel like college sports probably going to hurt a lot down here because of how fucking hot it is with the COVID in Florida. So it's hot with the weather and hot with the COVID. So, you know, like I could see them, you know, like they're doing with high school sports. It's a hotbed for farming high school athletes down here. A lot of high school football athletes, basketball athletes, and baseball athletes come from South Florida. Jacob deGrom is a good example. Florida. So you get these studs in all these sports who come from down here. A lot of football players. You know, I think Sean Jackson, I think he's from fucking not too far from here. He's from Broward County, I think. You get a lot of people who are from here. So you get a lot of these kids that now they're canceling fucking sports. Like, they're not even going to have the games, I don't think. So they don't even get a chance to shine to be like, yo, I've been fucking working hard the last 3 years of my high school career to fucking do this, and I was going to be scouted my senior year or my junior year or whatever it is. You know what I mean? And now I don't even have the opportunity to do that. So it's crushing a lot of dreams, which, you know, it definitely sucks. Like, you know, and I hate outlining the fucking shitty parts about this because I'm sure there's a silver lining somewhere in there. And one of the silver linings is that pertaining to sports and COVID is that when you have the reveal of this, you know, like, oh, well, we get to have sports now, it's a lot more exciting. Which I'm sure you were probably like a kid on Christmas yesterday, because I know I was a kid on Christmas today.
Yeah, it's been affecting me because I mean half of what I get paid to do is to teach kids like how to play baseball. So yeah, it was hard. That was the hard part for me, really. And to be honest, it got me a little depressed because, like, I was working with kids from December that would get ready for the senior year of high school, like just to what you were just talking about.
Yeah.
And their season just got taken away from them. And some of these kids are really fucking depressed. And that's why, like, I'm one of those people like you. I hate like politics and shit. But
Yeah.
the fact that like I've watched kids like that work so hard get their like season taken away from them, and because of politics, it's kind of made me get into it to a certain extent. Like I'm not like a person that's gonna like tell you to like who to vote for and stuff, but
Yeah.
I'm all for just the individual like to being able to go and do what they want to do. You know what I mean? So like, and it's because I like I said, like it's just I've seen kids that were like putting all their work into just this 1 year, and then now to have it potentially taken away from them, and also just not know what to expect next year.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, like I remember being that 18-year-old kid thinking like I want to be a baseball player, and not knowing till I was 27 that I wasn't going to make it.
Right.
But like I don't want to take that away from kids that are 18, because like no one ever told me at 18 I couldn't make it. They kind of let me figure it out for myself, like, which was fine, because, you know, like I said, the 5% of the people make it to that level, and it's because they're that good. So we shouldn't, you know, we should just appreciate that and just respect that they're that much better than us, and that's why we pay to watch them, and they don't pay to watch us.
Well, you're also trying to cultivate the cream of the crop. That's what you're trying to do. And you know, like you said, their opportunity shot. And I am like in a gray area with this, which I totally agree with. If I'm going into a restaurant, I'm going to do the whole mask thing. I'm totally on board with it. I'm not going to be a fucking dick about it. You know what I mean? Even like I'll keep my beliefs to myself, but I'm going to wear a mask for you, whether or not I believe in masks or don't. But I'm going to do it because no shirt, no shoes, no service. And the reason why you wear shoes is because people got foot fungus and it's nasty. The reason why they tell you to keep your shirt on is because you have nasty titties, man or woman. You could just have nasty titties. Keep your fucking shirt on, okay? You know, so no shirt, no shoes, no service. So the whole thing goes, they don't mention pants, but I'm pretty sure it's implied that just wear your fucking pants because you probably have a shitty ass and a pissy dick, and we don't want it flopping around in our fucking store around our donuts. Now, fact, this is a scientific fact. Spit facts. No pun intended with the spit. But mouths are dirtier than assholes. A clean asshole, like if you really clean yourself well, you know, even if you rip a nasty fart, it's still cleaner than your fucking mouth after a brush. Now, that said, maybe we should just constitute the whole idea of just wearing masks at all times, because everybody's got a fucking dirty mouth and a dirty nose. And, you know, like, I'm not saying do that. I don't want to be a Gestapo and be like, wear a mask all the time. But you should be like, if I'm at the cages with my coach with a mask on, and he's behind the cage, and he's like, no, adjust your swing. No, you got to turn your foot. No. And you're fucking coaching him. You're still distant enough to holler at this kid to straighten him out while he's in the cage taking swings. You know what I mean? If you got the tee set up and you're just working with the tee, you're not fucking ghost on his ass. Like, you're not some fucking Catholic priest pedophile trying to fucking grab on this motherfucker.
Exactly.
You're yelling at him and telling him to fix his form is not socially encroaching on his air space. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it could be their choice. Like, I want to train, coach. Like, you know what I mean? If the parents are cool with it, and you're cool with it, and you're like, I'm not afraid, as long as we, you know, do this, we could be distant and do this, let people do it. Like with the whole gym rule, I feel like if you want to go to the gym, that's up to you to fucking take the risk. If the risk is out there, hey, listen, there's a risk for you to get hit by a car every day when you walk out in the street. So you're taking a risk no matter what when you leave your house. But if you play by the rules, and if, you know, like if you do socially distance when necessary, and if you do fucking wear your mask, just as a courtesy to fucking everybody else, if anything, you know what I mean? Like, everybody should be good for a little while, and then when this does disappear, you know, because of whatever comes up, vaccine and or the herd immunity, and who knows how long, because we don't know, right? Then we could go back to fucking normal. But the thing is, let's try to take the pieces of normal that we can have. Like, I don't think that we should shut everything down unless it's getting out of hand. Like, maybe they should shut everything down here in Florida. But obviously, New York did pretty good with coming out of it, and there's other states that came good. California sort of regressed a little bit. Maybe you got to shut things down in certain areas, but obviously, certain regions aren't being affected as bad as others. Other people aren't following the rules, and you're seeing the negative effects of it. And I just want everybody just to fucking to be well and healthy. So, you know, like maybe we get that first, and we can get our fucking batting coaches in. You know, so get these kids to take some fucking swings.
Yeah, that's the thing that's really bothered me because like I checked out politics after 2011. So I mean, to be honest, I couldn't give a shit. And before
Me
and
too.
after that, there was so much going on in my life. But like you said, like like we've never been in a situation where like sports affect us. Like there's been major shit around us that we just didn't really pay attention to because
Yeah.
we had sports. We had like I mean, look what sports did for us after 9/11. Like you lived in obviously like we both moved
Oh
out of
yeah, dude. We were in New
but like
York for that, so we
without
knew what the fuck was going
yeah.
on.
And even then, like like I said, like I mean, depending on what you believe on what really happened, like
Mm-hmm.
even to the like I said, but like sports was like our salvation. And
Brought us together.
as a Yankee fan, the best thing was us not winning that World Series because, like, I can only imagine like that discussion of like, should we have a parade where like fucking thousands of people just died like a couple months ago?
Yeah,
No,
like a
the answer is
block
no.
away, a block
Yeah,
away.
a block away.
Yeah, like that's where
But
it
like
is. Yeah.
that stuff, like to your point, like how baseball is kind of like magical in a way. To me, and I'm saying this as a Yankee fan, that was the most poetic season that could have happened as like a baseball fan, and because of what happened with 9/11, like
Yeah.
the best closer in the world blows the World Series after 9/11. Like, can you get any more anti-depressing than that? Like, or more
Yeah, that is
like
that yeah.
it
It's the
kind of
only
it
time.
sums
It's
up
the
the
only
year.
time. It's the
Yeah,
only time.
exactly. It sums up the
Yeah.
year. Like, it's like the best closer that we've ever seen in planet Earth blows the fucking blows the game. Like,
Yeah, but do you think this year is gonna fucking end that depressing though? I feel like we're primed for a fucking comeback as humanity. I'm
I
starting to
hope
feel
so,
a
and
little.
that's why I'm also so political because like the minute like I was checked out when Fauci was like, I'm worried about baseball in the fall. I was like, stay in your fucking lane, dude. I was like, listen. I
Oh,
was
and
like, I'm
he's
not.
not. He's got his mask off. He's got his
I
mask off.
know exactly. That's
What
what
the
pisses me
fuck is
off,
up with
and
that?
that's what's driving me crazy with that shit, dude. Like, and I work at. Like I said, you're back to work. I'm back to work, and
Yeah.
I wear it at work, and I comply. I don't say shit, but it's like
Uh,
the minute I step out there and like I'm just walking to my car, and I've been yelled at before, like put your mask on. I'm like I'm fucking walking to my car, dude. Like you're not a doctor. Like leave me alone. Like I'm not like wherever I
it's a
go, where
little
they ask me.
ridiculous with that shit. Yeah,
Yeah,
out in the
like
open air, I feel like it's a
yeah,
little
like I
fucked
don't
up.
I don't run in the supermarket and I don't go like I hey I'm not like I said where I have to where the rules are I have to wear them I wear it. But like it walking to my
Like in
car,
Maryland, like you're in the burbs, sort of, right? Is it
yeah.
you in the, okay? That's what I'm saying. Like I'm not in Fort Lauderdale or Miami or even fucking West Palm Beach or Boca. Like I'm in the burbs. So there's no walking down the street with a crowd of people like New York City. So
Mm,
like if I'm walking my dog and I'm like 1,000 feet away from my house, like everybody's in their house, I'm gonna walk around without a mask on.
mm,
I'm not walking around with a mask on. But if I go to the mall or if I go to the fucking downtown area or if I go to work, at work, I have a mask on for 10 hours a day. And it's
mm,
on. It stays on. I got the fucking lines on my face and everything. It stays on all day long.
mm.
Same thing. If I go to the fucking, this place, I have to go to Guitar Center to pick up some drum equipment. Like I have my mask on the whole time. I'm never gonna fucking not wear my mask. And I even wore it to my car. But when I got to my car, I took it off and I got in my car with my mask off. And you do get people who will fucking camera follow you with their fucking cell phone, which is a little ridiculous because the thing is, like, it's out of context because they start their camera like, look, no mask
Mhm,
on. They wait for you to take it off.
mhm,
And it's like, come on, man. You know what I mean? Well, there was this one lady, I think she took it off when she was at the checkout line. So,
mhm.
like, pissed somebody off and she got to a fight and then she threatened to shoot the other person. And I was like, oh my God, it's getting too crazy. Like, this is the thing. It's another thing. Like, it's getting really heated with a lot of fucking people as far as it goes. And I feel like now is the closest any rival fan group has been with the rival fan group. So
Oh
now
yeah, it's like yeah, it's worse than like
you even
Rangers,
have a
Islanders.
camaraderie. Yeah, you have a camaraderie now with Red Sox fans. Like you guys can't wait to get back to when it was you guys fighting each other. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like we got to get back to where Yankees fans and Red Sox fans won't harass each other going up the street. I'm pretty sure you could wear a Yankees jersey in Boston right now, walk up
Mhm.
and down any fucking block with a mask on, and get harassed less
Yeah.
than if you had a Red Sox jersey with no mask on walking down the streets of South Boston.
That's 100% accurate, and I would not doubt that whatsoever. And
Yeah,
that's the thing too.
I
It's
really
like,
like
all right, so like this is what set me off, like the new bar rule, right? So think about this: you can walk into a restaurant, right, with your mask on. And then as soon as you sit at the table, you take it off, right? So, like, say you and your wife are out to dinner, right? And you just happen to sneeze. Both of you happen to sneeze. Achoo, in your hands, right? Germs are flowing through the air. And I walk in the restaurant with my girlfriend and actor with my mask on. But as soon as I take it off, right, what am I going to breathe in eventually?
Wow.
All of our germs. And
Yeah.
that's to me, it's like, I think it's like, to a certain point, it's like, how stupid do you think we are? Like, I'm all for following rules that make sense. But if you're telling me I have to walk into a bar with a mask on, and then once I sit down at the table, I take it off, and we're all having our mask off, all eating dinner, all breathing air, and then obviously we're all going to sneeze at one point. We're all going to cough at one point. So it's all going to spread. But as soon as I get up from the table and go to the bathroom, then I have to put the mask on again. That makes no fucking sense. Like, that's where you lose me. And like I said, before that, I was all for following rules. But it's like, and now to like see it,
What's
like,
the difference between a bar and a restaurant? Like, what's the difference between one or the other?
Exactly.
I sort of agree with you too. Like I don't see what the difference is between one or the other. I feel like they're splitting cunt hairs, like you know, like to the point where it's like, okay, well, I understand the argument is, and as far as what I mean by splitting hair, it's like they say, well, in a bar, you're drinking, you're more likely to be huggy and grabby, close proximity, talking closely with people. If you're at a restaurant, okay, yeah, you're not 6 feet apart, but you're spaced. People aren't typically fucking grabbing a stranger. You know, so I get it, but you're still in airspace. You're still in a confined area. There's still no sunlight. There's still, you know, which is something that's effective against coronavirus. Ultraviolet light, sunlight. You know, like you're not okay. So that's understandable. But like they'll go to a bar that has outdoor seating and harass them because they're not serving food now. Now it's not. Now they have to serve food, and it's like, what the fuck is the difference? Like, because they have a fucking plate of chicken fingers on the fucking table.
Exactly.
Like, that's gonna prevent me from fucking getting the ill COVID. Like, come on, dude.
If you have a beer, you're gonna get it. If you have the wings with the beer, you're good.
Well, I think the combination of the fat from the wings and the and the carbs and the beer, like, it does something to the COVID. Like, I don't know. Maybe we should have all just been getting fucking hammered and stuffed with fucking children's meals. Like, you know what I mean?
I agree.
For the 6 months before COVID, we've never gotten fucking COVID. But I mean, I honestly feel like, you know, hopefully this, you know, like this will clear up, and, you know, and eventually we'll get back to like some sort of fucking normal with our you know, sort of social situation, you know, like even like everything's heated with the Black Lives Matter and the race issue with our countries, reignited as it has been over and over again for decades. And which is totally understandable. George Floyd video, I was disgusted. I couldn't fucking believe that I'm watching a guy fucking die and call for his mom. It was definitely very fucking frustrating, you know. And like, hopefully the civil unrest will work itself out to a point where we could be a civilized society again. But that being said, and this is another segue, is that despite all of the coronavirus and civil unrest with the issue that we're having with the police and the race issues in our country, even if we sort all that shit out, now the New York Times releases a story today referring to the alien spacecraft. Now they're saying outworld craft, like something outside of our planet. They're using these words now. The materials and metals that we found are not of this world, even though we had found other ones that were okay. Yeah, we understood what the origin was, and these were lab created, and they know that they could have been, and they're not disclosing whether or not they're from another country, but they could have been made somewhere else. Okay, they understand that, right? They're not going to tell us that Russia fucking tried to use experimental aircraft on us, because it's still classified, because they're still working it out, because they still have recovered materials from that stuff that they're still reverse engineering. They did, on the other hand, confirm that they have other machinery and other things, right? That now it's like, if you don't believe in fucking aliens, if you don't believe in aliens, but you'll believe your government if fucking Trump or Biden says something, right? If you don't fucking believe in aliens, now your government is telling you there is alien pieces of equipment we picked up bits of, that something crashed, and we picked up these bits. They're not from here. They're tech, and they're out of this world. And that's the words that they're using. Not of this planet. So now we get past all this. We get our sports back. But there's legit aliens now. Now, I'm speaking to my nephew earlier, and I told him that they don't want to have anything to do with us. This was just an accident that nobody had their insurance, so they didn't want to exchange information. And by the time the cops showed up, cops being, the humans, are like, oh, there was no accident here. And then 70 years later, they're like, oh, that accident? Oh, yeah, that accident did happen. Yeah, it did happen. But that's nothing. It's nothing. It's just some alien shit. Like, what? Wait, what? It's alien shit? Well, so how do you feel about this unfolding practically overnight?
Well, I mean, admittedly, I've always been like somewhat of like a person that like loves looking into conspiracies, and for the most part, I've always liked going down them to like know they were false. Like, not that I was like a debunker, but like I always like going down the rabbit hole and like knowing it wasn't true to like check like one crazy thing off my mind that's like probably not true. But
could be a hoax, or it's proven to be a hoax,
exactly.
Like crop circles and shit. Yeah.
Exactly. But aliens always intrigued me because I was always like, why does Hollywood always push out alien movies? It's like if you don't want something to be true, you sweep it on the rug. But it's like they just kept like Independence Day, all these movies that kept coming out, and I actually I was kind of on the fence, and then I watched Joe Rogan with Bob Lazar. That dude that worked at Area 52 or Area 53, whatever. Yeah. And like just like body language wise, like just watching him like talk about it and he's been consistently accurate like with his stuff, and he said the same thing for like 30 years.
Since the 80s.
Yeah, since the 80s. Mm-hmm. And now that they basically like they've told us during a time where we're all so stressed about like the future of what's going to happen with the country. We just don't give a shit. Because like, we're all just like, all right, what's gonna happen? Like, are we gonna survive this? Is like, are people gonna be okay, or like, are we all gonna die? And like, oh yeah, aliens are out there. Okay, cool.
I really wonder if like Trumpers and Antifa motherfuckers are just not gonna give a shit. Like, they're just gonna keep their ideologies intact, even though like we're like, yo, motherfuckers, like we're not the only ones here.
Yeah.
What if some motherfuckers like Alien Lives Matter and they come here with ray guns, motherfucker, and lightsabers?
Well, that's what Bob Lazar said too.
Yeah.
He said that like some of the technology we have to this day that we're actually using is from fucking UFOs. So I mean, we're already kind of indoctrinated into this fucking like. Hey,
listen, I don't know, man. Maybe this thing,
One of these things, it's like, supposedly, like I said, if you go deep down the rabbit hole, like this technology has been available since the 60s. And
since the space race, since the space race,
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, we had access to a lot of this stuff for a while, like, you know what I mean? And now it's coming to fruition where it's like, okay, well, Tom DeLonge was right.
And like now we got
the lead singer of Blink-182 was right, and he's got some serious fucking connections. And even his interview on Joe Rogan, we'll go back to Joe Rogan again. Mm-hmm. He actually had two guys on last week that were talking about Bob Lazar and
that's what I was thinking of too. I forgot who they are, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
And Joe Rogan was being really like this, he was throwing a lot of I guess he was playing devil's advocate on the other side, as far as like, even though we know how Joe Rogan feels about a lot of stuff, but he was playing devil's advocate with their argument just to see how sturdy they'd be. And they were like, well, you can't really have those questions answered unless you have Lazar sitting next to you again to go back over all that stuff and to talk about the Tic Tac. Also, that's another thing. The Air Force fucking footage and shit. Mm-hmm. And the Navy, this is something that of recently they knew within the less than 2 decades have been fucking fully invested in, as far as like we are the caretakers of said information, because that bureau because they were consolidated and they got brought back into Navy intelligence. You know, and so they have all of this shit. And apparently, you know what? Like, this is the thing. Like, it's fucked up, dude. And I'm totally insulting all of humanity by saying by saying this. It's funny because I'm dissing everybody equally, right? So nobody could be really offended by this, but you all need it. All right, this is my message to you, Earthlings. Okay, they don't want to have anything to do with us. Y'all embarrass the shit out of us so much. You, all of you, embarrass the shit out of us so much that these sophisticated aliens roll past us like we're the bad neighborhood. Mm-hmm. They hear gunshots. They see nuclear bombs going off. They rolled up their windows and they say, let's get the fuck out of here. And what happened in Roswell was a couple of teenage aliens took their parents' fucking car out for a joyride and got into an accident and killed a couple other aliens who were passing by in our orbit and said, yo, we need to get the fuck out of here. Like on some fucking I know what you did last summer shit. And these aliens were like, yo, you just wrecked that car in the bad neighborhood. We got to get the fuck out of here. So they hightailed it and left those dead aliens out in the fucking middle of the desert. And what we have now is just from that, you know, like proverbial Honda Civic of a space alien ride that gave us what we have now, right? All this fucking crap and what we're doing here, and gave us all this shit, and we're just like sucking off the teat. Whatever they really do have, their warships, if they are warring people, if they are, presumably. If they're not, then even their exploring ships, like their Starship Enterprise, probably has a lot more to fucking offer, but we're not worthy of that because we're still fucking shooting at each other because they're afraid that we're going to shoot at them. Maybe they don't want to invade us because they can't invade us because they want to just be friends, but they don't want to come down here because they're afraid we'll shoot them. Now, I might shoot an alien. That's the thing. I'm going to admittedly say I might shoot an alien. But I mean,
you don't know if you can trust him yet. Yeah. Let me ask you a question. When's the last time you saw Terminator 2?
Oh, pretty recently. I watched pieces of it regularly, so I think I watched the movie in its totality around Christmas time. The last time. Yeah, I'm familiar.
I watched it last week with the outtake scenes and like the extended scenes.
The extended with Kyle Reese, the Kyle Reese scene when she hallucinates him in jail, and then there's another scene with Arnold at the desert, the armory.
Where they pick his brain, they take his brain out and they reset his switch, so where he can start thinking like a human.
Yeah.
But like the scene that
always gets
aquí. Yes, exactly.
Enrique. And he's like, "What are you doing here, Connor?"
Yeah. ¿Cómo está? The scene that always gets me was like when the two kids were fighting, the black kid and the white kid were fighting with the guns.
Yeah, human nature.
John Connor says, like, he looks at me, he's like, we don't make it, do we? He goes, no. He's like, it's in your DNA to destroy yourselves. And I'm like, that movie was made how fucking long ago? And fast forward now to 2020. That's exactly what the fuck's gonna happen.
That's what's gonna happen. Yeah, and we'll do it. And this is the thing. Maybe they are an invasive species and they're opportunistic, but these things are so far advanced that they're not thinking about like us centennials. They're not thinking of like we think about the 100 years that we're alive. You know,
or
like,
they're just waiting for us to destroy each other. Though, like if we destroy half the country and now half the country is vulnerable, what's the best time to attack? Boom.
Bingo.
Like, especially if you have to bring the military into their own country to settle civil unrest. That's when we're the most vulnerable.
If we could have a D-Day and then we just destroy each other with nukes and they come and swoop in and get all the resources that they need and then swoop out, they don't have to fire a shot.
The crazy thing that Skynet says that they're going to do in Terminator 2 to start the war is to have all the nukes AI controlled and to bomb Russia. And what's been in the news for fucking 4 years? Russia,
and China too. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. But like, if Terminator 2 winds up being the real way the shit goes down,
what if the AI? What if the AI? Now check this out. What if the AI that we got from the aliens, right, that we ended up developing into our GPS, our navigation systems, this is their virus. We are so attached to it. Right now we're attached to it. We're even talking about it in a cynical fashion while we're using it.
Yeah.
And this turns into the Skynet, right? And Skynet takes us down. We blow each other up with that whole same scenario that they do in Terminator, except nobody survives.
Mm-hmm.
And then the aliens come to fucking pull the resources that we have here to go and move on to the next civilization. Well, you know what they say? They say actually, and I believe this is fact, that there are mineable minerals on the moon. And our biggest incentive to go out there is to mine this stuff and bring it back here. So my argument with that, if they're truly interested in what we could offer, they could literally mine the dark side of the moon and we wouldn't notice them if they were really that technologically advanced, and just not have anything to do with us and not even have to go through any of that. Because why waste any effort or resources on anything? Let it just happen. They don't want us to fucking know who they are because they don't want it to interact with them.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, oh shit, I just met my neighbor. Fuck, now I got to talk to them. That, you understand what I'm saying? Like, sometimes that happens in an apartment building. It's like, oh fuck, he said hello.
Like,
now I have to say good morning
every day.
Every day.
It's true. Well,
he's got bad breath, and he fucking fights. He fights with his wife every day. You know, you don't want to deal with that motherfucker.
But actually, and that's the crazy thing about Bob Lazar, is that he said that he's worked on spacecraft, and he said he's seen dead bodies, and he said like and that's why I believe him, because if you were crazy, you would make up crazy shit like, oh yeah, they had like these like crazy planes with missiles. He said they had like very basic shit. Like their spacecraft is very small and only has a controller. It doesn't have like gadgets. It just has like a very basic like their GPS of like how they like direct. Yeah. But he goes, all they have is a seat and a controller. They don't have like a first class like airplane ride like we would have. They have like a seat. They have like a seat, a wheel, and that's it. Like everything is basic and very
maybe
standard.
It's like connected to their fucking, you know, like their nervous system. It's like it's simplified to the point where it's like if you drive a Tesla. I've never driven a Tesla, but I've taken the virtual rides. Like I've watched like on, you know, like on video, like how it is, and when it moves around, and you know you can do the 360 view and stuff like that. And it's like, well, Tesla is sort of moving that direction. So then there's a theory that I've had, right, which is also a pretty popular theory. But I had this idea when I was in high school, and it was like a what if, and I was like interested in drawing comic books and writing comic book stories, and I had buddies of mine in high school. We would exchange ideas and try to come up with characters together, and you know, and I had this idea of like, well, you know, what if like aliens are not aliens? Like, what if aliens, right? And I'm sure you've heard this too. Is us from like, you know, like the Goobacks sort of, but actually advanced. Like we're not coming back in time to look for work to take jobs away from, you know, like 21st century people. But like, what if we become so technologically advanced that we evolve into like a different kind of humanoid, to where we look different, our brains are bigger, and maybe everything else is just smaller proportions. We don't have to use our physical strength to do anything anymore. And maybe these fucking vehicles are so simplified because they became so technologically advanced, they didn't regress. They consolidated all of it to just like, now that you don't even need a touch screen. When you hold the joystick, everything is in your eyes. You know, so these motherfuckers are so far ahead that they just take time machine rides back here to be like, let's go to fucking, let's go to the wild safari. Okay, yeah, let's go to the wild safari. Okay, we got to go back like fucking 2,000 years. Oh, okay, let's do that. Let's go back.
No, it makes sense. Makes sense.
And then like, the last time you could actually see lions in the savannah. And then maybe, let's go 1,000 years back, or 2,000 years back, or 10,000 years back to when humanity was on the verge of killing itself. And you want to see what we came back.
The dinosaurs are roaming around.
Or go back to dinosaurs. You know, who knows? And maybe the chariots of fire that they say in Hindu mythology, maybe that's influenced by that too. And maybe God and the burning bush and all that shit is all fucking influenced by, you know, people actually seeing these things that they could only quantify as being deities because they couldn't explain what the fuck this fire shot from the sky that just stopped dead right in front of me started talking to me telepathically, because we don't speak the same language, but for some reason it was talking to me in my language in my head. Like, you know, because of whatever fucking joystick they're holding. It's not that far-fetched. I mean, honestly, like they have primitive things like right now you can touch it and it tells you your heart rate. You got a step counter on your fucking Apple Watch. You got all this shit, dude. Like literally I say, you know what? Hey, babe, you know what? A gray couch would look really nice in the living room. And then fucking I pick up my phone that was 20 feet away from me and I go on fucking Instagram and there's a gray couch. Raymore Flanagan. I'm not even a fucking follower of Raymore Flanagan, but they'll be on with a gray couch, and it'll be like, oh, okay, so maybe that AI that does all that shit back then, or in the future, not back then. We are back then to them. That's what I mean. And like they use that to fucking warp space time to fucking move back and forth to visit how things used to be because everything's boring as fuck in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And joystick and seat.
Yep. Or are we in the fucking Matrix and we're just plugged in and we don't even know it and we don't have a Morpheus to come along and tell us like, hey, if you take this fucking pill, I'll tell you the real truth where you're at, or I'll give you the blue pill and you go back to sleep and then live it.
I'll tell you what.
I mean, I watched that the other day and I'm like, man, that's. And then I thought about Elon Musk and everything. And I'm like, am I fucking not to say that I'm Neo, but I'm like, am I living in the fucking Matrix? Like,
that's a great possibility. It's a great possibility, and I think I've thought that for a couple of years, now not such a long time, but I started entertaining the idea probably about like 2 or 3 years ago. Like I want to get my wife to watch it because she's like intrigued by it. Like I think we watched John Wick, and she was like, I never watched The Matrix. I was like, what? I was like, okay, so maybe we got to watch The Matrix just so you can understand, like, oh, why? It's like she heard it was like, oh, it's like taking psychedelic drugs. I was like, no, there's a scene in the movie where it's red pill or blue pill, but it's about like you living in a simulation, like you're stuck in a video game. So it sort of appealed to her, but I still haven't gotten her to watch The Matrix yet. But there's a great possibility that could be it, big. We're in some sort of fucking holographic like field, sort of like in Star Trek, where it's just like you're in the holodeck and you're just experiencing all these things that are real to you, but could be completely fabricated by some sort of AI, which could be dictated by these future fucking space alien humanoids that now are crash landing shit in 1947 Roswell, New Mexico, and now we have fucking some sort of corroboration to that, which is what people have been waiting for, for a little while. I mean, we all heard that. Okay, yeah, we've seen this Tic Tac in the sky by the Air Force and the Navy and shit, but now it's actual people saying that yes, there is not of this world tech that we cannot explain that does not belong to the other world powers. Mm-hmm. So seeing how that unfolds is going to be fucking interesting. And the thing is, I'm upset because somebody else brought this to my attention, saying that, you know what, this could be something to get our mind off of all this bullshit. Which I'm like, why would you use aliens to do that? You know what I mean? Why, there's other things happening, like Ghislaine Maxwell fucking being in prison now. You know what I mean?
Epstein, I was gonna say I didn't want to get too off, especially I didn't want to go deep down like politics stuff, but like I've been following the Epstein stuff from some like 3-4 years ago, and like it's crazy the shit that the whole and you don't even want to, like I said, I won't go deep. Too far deep into it.
Just to be quite honest with you, I don't consider the pedophilia ring politics. I don't think it's politics. Okay. This is a human rights violation as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. And
when the thing that's the most heartbreaking about it is when you see like the names of people that are attached to this, it's like a lot of them were like influential, especially for me. Like, I love movies. So it's like,
me too, man.
I've become political about it because it's like I feel like no one's talking about it, and it's like I don't even have kids, and it's like I've watched so many documentaries about like these people that have suffered, and it's like no one's speaking up about them, and it's like how the fuck can you sleep at night knowing that these people are doing this shit? It's like, and like you said, and we'll see what happens with the truth and like who's and to me it's like I'm just playing like detective. I think everybody is suspicious.
Yeah, and that's what makes anybody who's in that sort of like
Circle,
pop culture circle, influence of power, people who got into politics through celebrity, who could possibly be within the no circle, because I honestly believe, like, listen, there are people, like, for example, there were people who I had, like, close relations with, that I didn't find out until later, like way later, that they were like serious something or others. Like, wait, what did they do? Wait, what? How come didn't I? Why didn't I know? Well, I would have called them first to buy my illegal shit. You know what I mean? Like there were, like, you get people who, like, you don't even know. So there may be, like, let's just say, let me throw a name out there. Like, let's just say there's like a fucking, I don't know. Let's just say, like, Bruce Willis, right? Like, Bruce Willis, Bruce Willis, Planet Hollywood, he was involved with that. Like, he was Schwarzenegger's friend, Sylvester Stallone. Which the crazy thing is, I feel like people like Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger are outside, like, they're on the fringe.
I think so too. Yeah. Well, actually, the funny
because a lot of those people have been
on that list.
Yeah, dude, Ashton Kutcher. You know what I mean?
And he was like the one advocating against child trafficking, ironically enough, which is like
even
more crazy. It's like, dude,
and they said that he was covering up for other people. There's conspiracy theories about that. There's the thing, like, that maybe, like, like, there are people who knew but are like ill, but this is my job. You know what I mean? And I don't want to lose my job, but I'm going to try to stay as far away from these people as possible. I think, even though, okay, total anti-Semite, and I agreeably so, but I enjoy a lot of his movies. The Lethal Weapon quadrilogy is one of my favorite fucking action movie sets of all time. But Mel Gibson, right? Mel Gibson said a lot of fucking fucked up shit. He was mad at a lot of people, especially his ex-wife, Oksana, in that famous fucking rant that I laugh about this. It's so fucking funny. It is so funny, but he outright outed pedophilia Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Dude, he was like, and there's all these fucking kid touchers, blah, 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 with this Catholic morality, right? But with his fucking, with his dirty fucking Irish, English fucking drunkard ass, which I understand a lot of us.
If he wouldn't have been racist, it would have went viral. Yeah, I mean, the fact that he muddied it with racism, and like I said, you don't want to justify, any sort of racism, but like, if he would have just went off on pedophilia, I don't forgive him for any of that shit, but he did, in the midst of that, in a heated fucking rant, outed. He said they're all fucking pedophiles, fucking kid touchers, and he, and it's like, holy shit. Well, he's saying that now he gets blackballed, and they're going to use the anti-Semitism to explain that. But the thing is, it's not that. Like, yeah, you do have a lot of, people who happen to be Jewish in Hollywood, but, you can't just pin the pedophilia thing on everybody. But there might be people who are pedophiles who'd be like, yo, we need to fucking blackball this guy. And he made it easy for us. He made it easy for us because we could go that route, because he's also, thank God he's racist, because now we can X him out so he doesn't fucking out us on our pedophilia. So they got lucky with that. And the thing is, you could see, like, all the people that ended up picking him up and doing movies with him obviously cannot be within any of this inner circle, because they would have been blackballed by that. But people like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone do whatever the fuck they want. You know what I mean? They're powerhouses. So they've gotten past that stage to where they're like, I'm not going to play in your kid touching game. You can just get the fuck out of here. Because I do take steroids and will choke you out. Yeah. And like,
I had Joe Frazier show me how to punch. So don't fuck with me, because I will break your genitalia. So you get people who may be threatened, you know what I mean, by being outed and stuff like that. But then when you have politicians backing them and stuff, they get a lot of their money to campaign funding. It's like Kevin Spacey's just going to keep throwing the Clintons money to be like, hey, listen, I want to fuck these 15-year-old boys. And that's what happened. Yep. He kept fucking donating. Kept on fucking donating. And even to Obama. And I liked Obama the first time around. Yep. But like you said, 2011, a lot of shit started coming through, and the pedophilia stuff really started to come to light in the early 2010s.
That's what I caught on. I have a few of my buddies that are deep in the conspiracies, and like I'm intrigued by a few, like the JFK one. I'm very intrigued by.
Yeah, as everybody is.
9/11, I'm very intrigued by, and then obviously what's going on now. But to me, it's like it's all been a common theme. It's like what's really the play here? Like what's like like JFK, like he wanted to abolish pretty much all the secret societies,
Killing
and
him changed the world. It changed
it
the course
did,
of events. It
and
changed history by killing
it
him. If
did,
he stayed alive,
and
the world would be different.
yeah, and my only hope is, and like I don't know like how far you look into like the Q stuff, but like I started following it actually once Trump got
Mm-hmm.
elected, or like a
Yeah,
year after,
yeah.
and if you look at they're way more accurate than most mainstream media, even Fox or CNN, depending on what you watch.
Mm-hmm.
And
Neither. I
the
watch
fact that
both
they
of them
got banned
actually
on,
equally. I do watch Fox and CNN
I
equally,
watch them
but
both,
I
yeah,
watch
because
them to see the tennis match.
yes,
Sports for me. When
yes.
there was no sports, I watched Fox and CNN
Me
to watch
too.
them pass the ball back
See
and
who
forth.
won each round. Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
do the same thing. Yeah, because they both spin an agenda. Like like I
Uh
said,
huh.
if you're at least moderately objective, you know that they're both trying to feed each other's
Yeah.
like fan base.
Oh yeah,
But
dude. Totally.
and then like that's the thing that's crazy is like, hey, like none of you guys are like. I mean, Fox talks about it more than CNN. I'll give them credit, but it's like, hey, can we get back to like the global elite pedophilia ring? That's like really like the reason why we're all in quarantine. And
How is
this was
that
my
not
opinion.
front page? How is that not on front page? You know what I mean? Like, and it's like you need to keep the people shut up because this is all fucking going on. So you could also overinflate other stories
Mm-hmm.
to smoke screen. It's a fucking smoke. A lot of
Yeah,
things
I
are smoke
mean,
screen.
and that's the thing that's upsetting the most is because it's like the fact that this happened already is upsetting because these kids are never going to have a normal life ever again. These people that were abused, but it's like I understand they're powerful people, and it's going to be hard for most people to really digest those pills when they see like some of these powerful. If it ever happens, who knows? If these powerful
I
people like
hope it
get
does,
certain,
man. I would love to see. I listen. I'm totally down. Like if I have to exchange, like a normal existence with pedophilia ruling the world to being a hunter gatherer, like 5 seconds later, I think I'm gonna be a hunter gatherer with a clear conscience.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
honestly,
amen,
like if the
amen,
whole
and that
world collapses because of it,
yeah, and I think that's the only. I mean, I think to a certain extent it has to happen that way because if you believe with the list of the people that are accused of doing this, and especially with the recent Twitter stuff, like is only
yeah.
really is only helping
With
the
that,
Q cause.
Tenjin, right, of John Legend's wife,
Well,
right?
yeah,
Wasn't
Chris, dude,
yeah,
have you seen, not only
Christy
that,
Tenjin,
like Rainn Wilson,
Rainn
Tom, like
Wilson? Yeah,
dude,
what the fuck, man?
if have you heard of the actor named Isaac Cappy?
I think I'm familiar with the name, but give me. Yeah,
He's the dude that like remember when Corey Feldman was said he was going to leak all this shit
yeah,
like maybe 3 years
yeah,
ago.
yeah. Yeah, and
So
then he didn't do it until like 10 minutes ago. Yeah,
well, he said he wanted $30 million, and people thought he was crazy, but like he really needed that money for security because he knew once.
protection. Yeah,
Yeah, so Isaac Cappy was like he admittedly he was like he was a low level actor, but he was actually ironically more of a musician. But he used to get like kind of like part time roles in Hollywood to make money.
yeah, studio gigs. Yeah,
Yeah. Long
yeah.
story short, like I said, I'll let you look into him. I won't go down
No,
the
no,
rabbit
no.
hole too
Give me,
far.
give me, give me some
But
info so I have some
so
some backstory on this. Yeah,
I'll give you a quick story of him, and then you can look into it from there. So
dude.
he was buddies with Seth Green, right?
Hmm.
He actually used to say really cool stuff about Seth Green, like they were buddies, they used to party.
Yeah,
Supposedly, and like I said, this is all allegedly because I mean we can't until the actual truth comes out. We're just
it's
going on what he said.
speculation until
Yeah.
the truth comes out. Yeah.
So he said that one day him and Seth Green are hanging out, and Seth Green's like, "We have to have a talk about chicken." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And
Robot chicken.
as we've known that no chicken's code for kids. So
Oh
like as like
shit.
in the pedophilia circle. So then like Cappy's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, and then Seth Green basically confessed to him that, "Hey, like this, I'm down with this whole pedophilia ring, and I'm now that I'm telling you, you either have to be down or you're going to be the enemy." And Cappy was like, I'm not down with this.
Oh
And then
fuck that. Yeah.
eventually, then he started outing like Steven Spielberg, Tom. He started doing all these Periscope like videos,
Yeah.
and a year later, he committed suicide by jumping off a 30-foot bridge. And
Right.
yeah, like if you Google Isaac Cappy on Instagram, it'll kind of fill you in with the whole kind of full story of it. But
Yeah.
basically, he outed Hollywood and he died a year later. And the video he released before he died, he said he wasn't suicidal. and I think it was a day or 2 days later, he jumped off a 30-foot bridge. I'm using that in quotations, and
Yeah.
committed suicide. So it was like
That's like the Kevin Spacey victims. Also, like, they all killed themselves.
exactly.
Yeah, well, not
And
all of them, but like it's like, wow, they all just killed themselves, like
just
one after
prove
the
the
other.
crime.
After he was exposed, and it wasn't until he was exposed that they did that.
And that's why, that's where, it's like I was like checked out of conspiracies from them, but then I went down that rabbit hole, and then when you see what he was into, Cappy, like especially like he supposedly he was like the one that was like not influencing Q, but like was kind of like in that Q circle as far as like getting information that was like about pedophilia out to the public and like trying to get it to like the powers that be, and he died a year later. So it was like, or like, and then and then all the media did was say he was crazy and this and that, and then, but then he labels all the people that have tried to go up against like the pedophilia ring and that have been taken out, and then I don't know if you got a chance.
Well, they did that record. They did that with Corey Feldman too. They tried to label him as crazy, but he wasn't helping his own cause when he's getting up and he's singing like Michael Jackson.
Yes.
And he defends Michael Jackson. That's the thing. Like, I listen. I would probably stay away from anybody who's accused of being pedophile. If I'm trying to out pedophiles, even if said person was never a pedophile and was framed for being one. But
that's what they say.
That's
what they say Jackson is. They said like the doctor put him under psych, like, and like the Macaulay Culkin thing was like a psyop to like distract him from the other shit. Because that's the thing about that ring that's so disgusting, and that's why I'm so like passionate about stopping it, is because most of those people become the predator. Like Macaulay Culkin, Seth Green, they were abused as kids too. Because remember, they're
best friends, and they're best friends. Yeah.
And when you have no one to voice that shit out to, you become the predator. So a lot, like even Chrissy Teigen, like to a small part of me,
she was touched when she was a model. Like somebody fucking diddled her when she was 14, probably.
Exactly, dude. And like that's what, like like I said, like a small, like not a big part of me, a small part of me, because it's like when you have no one to turn to, and that's why I like a lot of these victims, like they prey on, like they had, like it's from abortion clinics and stuff. And I'm not trying to tell people to be pro-choice, whatever. But it's like, it's like all the people that they pick on don't have and even like think about all the people that get kidnapped around like West Virginia, which is like a mile away from where I live, is the hotbed for fucking child trafficking. So like to me, it's like it's somewhere like where it's affecting me. Like I don't have kids, whatever, but if I do ever have kids one day, it's like I have to worry about my kids going to West Virginia getting snatched up by some fucking pedophilia ring. And like, unfortunately, I think there's some people out there that aren't pedophiles that they like. I like to, because if you see the list, you're like, no way. Like some of these people on the list are like A list celebrities. But I like to think that some of them went to this island under the pre-context that, hey, we're going to come to this island, have like a party.
Did you hear what happens? Nobody keeps their mouth shut. That's the thing.
Yes,
okay? And even in tight circles, nobody keeps their mouth shut in tight circles. They keep their mouth shut outside the circle, but within the circle, they do not keep their mouth shut. So if you are a part of the circle, somebody's going to be like, yo, dude, you want some fucking primo? Be like, yeah, dude, I want to fuck a hot model. Be like, yo, listen, I'm talking to these 15-year-olds. And then if you're like, yo, wait, what? Like, oh, but hey, listen, you're on some other island. Like, it's legal there. Like, even if it's like when you get that guy who's like, yo, you could go to Thailand and fuck a 12-year-old. Like, it's like, okay, you could, but you're fucking a 12-year-old.
Yeah, but it doesn't make it right.
What?
See,
what the fuck is wrong with you?
I think
I could go to Botswana and pay to. I could go to Botswana and pay to cut somebody's fucking hand off. Yeah, that was caught stealing because I'm a sadist. You know what I mean? That's fucking stupid. It's like, it's wrong. Why are you going to maim somebody because of somebody else's podunk fucking bullshit rules because you have some sort of fucking hostile fantasy? You know what I mean? Because that's what it's like. It's like if your predation is something that is infectious to other people who think they could get away with it too. You know what I mean? A person who's prone to a mass shooting will probably be deterred if he's unable to buy firearms and or acquire them illegally even. You know what I mean? So I understand that. You know what I mean? Even though I'm an advocate for owning a firearm.
Yeah,
I understand.
Like, I understand this day and age where like they're going to defund the police and shit, or like they might.
Now you got to there's a presumption that you may need to take things in your own hands. Luckily Luckily and unluckily, I live in a state where everybody's fucking catching COVID.
I was saying,
But
yeah. Everybody's
unluckily,
locked down anyway.
I'm in a stand my ground state. So if somebody, like Henry Rollins said this once, he's like, I want to put a sign out in front of my house that says, "Please break in. I would love the opportunity to kill somebody illegally." What I'm saying by that is I have no animosity to humanity. But if a being or any living creature breaks into my house that's bear, lion, human, to inflict harm on me and or fuck with my property because I have a couple of things that I covet like a fucking sinner. I like my musical
Well, it's your property.
instruments.
You should be able to protect. Yeah,
I just bought a drum set. I've been waiting 26 years to do it, and I have one now. And 26 years is a long time to wait for a musical instrument. So I have one now. If somebody fucks with my drum set, I'm gonna be like fucking dude. I'm gonna be like John C. Riley. I'll be like, did you touch my fucking drums? I'm not coming to beat Will Ferrell's ass. I'm coming to shoot that motherfucker in his ass with my fucking Glock. I'm gonna shoot that guy because you shouldn't be in my house with your balls on my drum set. Okay, just saying.
No, it's true. And ironically, he's one of those people that potentially was on the list too, which is even like more fucked up.
Yeah.
Like
what the fuck, man? It's heartbreaking to hear some of these things.
That's what makes it even more frustrating. That's why, like, I don't particularly. I've been more vocal on social media, and I usually hate being that vocal, but like, it's because of like the people that are listed are potentially, and like I said, allegedly, because it isn't 100% accurate that they were yet. But it's like, if this list does come out to be true, it's like it destroys half of my like comedy sources. My, it's like it's just
drama,
like a lot of
music. There's musicians also who are fucking
dude, like fucking Steven Tyler. Like what the fuck? Like Aerosmith. I remember going to Aerosmith concert. Like one of my first concerts.
I believe the musicians though. That's the thing. Like and I would never say you gotta understand to sympathize. No, I would say you gotta understand that there was that culture that was totally out in the open in the 60s and 70s, that if you were some 25 or 30-year-old fucking lead singer of a rock band, a lead guitar player of a rock band, you more than likely were fucking on a 365-day year. You were probably banging a good 50 under 17-year-old girls.
True.
That is now the argument is, right? You should at all times turn away anybody who comes on to you that is not of age. You should turn them down. The morality was there for that back then. It was, but a lot of people were like, there's no cameras, there's none of this alien technology to fucking take your picture and shit. Everything was, so it's like if nobody sees it, it didn't happen. But it's like, yeah, but you know what? Enough people saw shit that they could tell people that it happened to corroborate the story to say that you knowingly fucked like half a dozen fucking 15-year-old girls in the Pacific Northwest. This isn't even in the Northeast and all those. Like, we could confirm that you did that. And, and that's also, it really is also up to the victims too to actually come forward with a lot of the stuff. And that's the Epstein situation, is that you had so many, and Cosby, you had so many with the Cosby rape, because I'm not sure if that was pedophilia. That was pretty much just rape.
No, that was like gay rape, yeah, but it was still pretty bad. I mean, but like that, still pretty bad. Epstein thing is on Netflix now, dude. Like you could watch.
I'm already up to date. I'm up to date. I'm up to date. I'm familiar with all of it. Yes, yeah. Okay. And the Palm Beach County Police, and I drive past Palm Beach County cop cars all of the fucking time, and I'm like, if there's a fucking cop in that car that's over the age of 50, I'm like, you were in on it too, you motherfucker.
Exactly. And that's the only thing I get mad about. I was like, if Epstein could get away with like bribing people. Like what? That's all I want people to do is like from either side. Like I want people to believe whatever they want to believe in, like what they truly believe in. But at the same time, it's like question. George Carlin was one of my favorite comedians, and he inspired me to want to do comedy. And like one of his last specials, that's all he kept saying was like, just question things you fucking hear and say. Like
all the time.
I'm not saying you have to believe it, but just question. And that's all I want people to do is like, I hate how we just sort of like just given up on like just questioning things. It's like I'm all for like we talked about it like way back in the beginning. Like we're all for following the rules and doing things, But like when it comes to common sense things, like you said, like when we're walking into a restaurant, how is that really helping anybody? By like like I get by being in an environment where we're close together and we don't want to compromise it, but it's like they keep changing the rules. And I feel like they're really just thinking that we're that stupid just to say we're not going to just at least say at one point say, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. Can you at least explain to us like a little bit more like why you want us like? And I feel like a lot of these people have gotten drunk off power, which I get it too. Like, and that's the thing. It's like
influence and control too. Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of that aspect.
Power is addicting, dude.
I understand about the safety aspect, but I'm not. There's a bad taste in my mouth when somebody is implying so much power.
Yes, exactly. It's like we all have a boss we have to listen to, and it's like we already like have that chip on our shoulder. We don't want it like hammered down every day. Like do this because we say it. It's like. But it's like, what happens if it compromises like my health? It's like, what happens? Like, it's like, what happens if it study comes out 2 years from now saying, if you wear a mask, like I said, you have to wear a mask 10 hours a day, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I'll have one on, like like when I get out of my car before, like I work 8 hours a day, but there's a mask on my face for at least minimum of 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
Mostly because I'm out of the house at work.
Well, also, like, say you have to go to the grocery store and do some
or the
shopping.
Oil change. I got my oil change in my car the other day because my light went on. Like, I literally drove the car. I was like, I should probably get an oil change, but my light didn't go on. And I was like, all right, the light went on. I was like, I'm at 15%. I was like, I could probably go another 5% of my oil. And I was like, okay, it's not really accelerating as much as I was used to it to. And I was like, and this is the longest I've ever gone without an oil change. I went like almost 6,000 miles, which is the longest I've ever gone without an oil change. And I still wasn't in the zero. I wasn't fucking, I wasn't close to seizing, but I was like, I had to get an oil change, and I kept my mask on the whole time for that. But they were cool about it. The Honda dealership that I went to, they had all the seating and stuff spaced out, so they were conscious about it. So you were even able to still interact with people, but you were definitely separated. Everybody respects space now, which is cool, But you still have to go out and do normal things with it on. But the thing is, as far as like you said about the overextension of power, sometimes it's just a little ridiculous. Like if I go to the gun range. Like, what the fuck does it matter if the next person next to me is 6 lanes down? Like I still have to have a mask on? Okay, I'll wear the mask. Because I don't want to be unruly in a gun range because they have guns.
Yeah, exactly. That's what keeps everybody in check, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I'm not going to step out of line here.
Like I was actually laughing because I was watching a lot of my friends that are like, that have like they have a gun permit and stuff, and like they're putting up memes of like, I can't wear a mask, and they're like, why? Because like I have a concealed weapon, so it's technically a felony if I wear a mask and I have a gun. And like people are like, the weight culture.
In certain states, you can't. Yeah, you can't. Over here, you can walk around Florida like a bandito. Just as long as you have a concealed carry, you can fucking carry that shit inside your pants, just not outside holster. And you could literally walk around with it as long as you have your legal permit to do so with a mask on, because they do want you to wear masks down here. They're like, okay, whatever you say. If you don't want to wear flip flops, you want to walk around barefoot, just have a fucking mask on. Like, they're desperate now to just be like, 2 people died in this bar in Miami last week.
It's crazy because like the sign, like the nut, that's what bothers. And like I said, like I'm not a fucking expert, and I will always yield to the experts. But it's like when I hear people from like every state saying like there's not as many, and even from like New York, I remember like the first like month I kept hearing like people were like, oh, like you don't know Phill, like you don't live here anymore, people are dying.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, when they send the ship over there, how come they didn't like have a single person fucking board that ship? And it's like, and then you heard about Como like sending the people that were like health compromised, and like it's like
there's shadiness with it too. There's a lot of shadiness with the COVID also. That the COVID exists, but the thing is that how it's being politicized and being used, and then being tied in to the civil unrest with the problem with the police and racism now. And all that shit, it's all getting tied in together, and it's like, okay, you're taking a lot of things that don't have anything to do with each other, and both narratives are coming at each other with fuel because of COVID, and because of Black Lives Matter, and because of Antifa, and because of Blue Lives Matter, and All Lives Matter, and everything matters now. Now you all want to be on the fucking, okay, how about Ice-T said it best. No lives matter. We're all insignificant. Well, actually, you know who said it better? Rick.
Yeah.
Rick Sanchez said it the best. He's like, none of this matters to the greater expanse of the universe. There's better things happening in other fucking star systems, not like the shit that's happening here. Listen, Morty, you can come with me. We're going to see the universe. And we're going to do things. We're going to have adventures. And we can make our life the way that we want to be because that's the biggest fantasy. Like, I used to have the fantasy of being, I want to be, I want to be fucking, Barry Bonds or like whatever. Or I want to be fucking Spider-Man or I want to be Darth Vader. It's like, no, fuck that shit. I want to be Rick Sanchez, man. Rick Sanchez lives the fucking life, even though he's a goddamn cartoon. But the philosophy even still stands. It's just like we could literally implode on ourselves as a planet. But there's a universe of shit happening all of the fucking time that even atoms colliding in the center of a star 100 light years away from us is still more significant to the chain reaction of this universe than our farts on this fucking planet. You know what I mean? And that's what we are. This racism is a fart. COVID is a fart. Your dictatorship is a fart. It is not anywhere near comparable to an imploding star that turns into a black hole, to a neutron star that has fucking binary system with another star around it that it's sucking all the fucking matter from. It does not fucking matter.
Well, but the thing is, the near miss asteroids that fucking constantly miss our planet by like fucking 1,000 feet.
All the time, dude. They can eliminate all this in a second, and eventually, if we do get hit with that, and we end up in like The Road. I don't know if you've seen that movie. You seen The Road with Viggo Mortensen, and he had this kid. Very sad. I thought it was in black and white when I realized that everything was just so dusty and dirty that it looked like a black and white movie. It depressed me even more. I was like, when that happens, your COVID isn't going to matter. Your MAGA hat isn't going to matter. Your Antifa flag isn't going to matter. Your Russian fucking tweets ain't going to fucking matter. None of that shit. Your poverty, your fucking anything, your goddamn gonorrhea isn't gonna fucking matter when that is burning into the fucking atmosphere. So, with that being said, right, I think what we all need to do is just enjoy the better things in life right now that we could salvage. Baseball being one of them. That's why we wore our gear today.
We're both 1-0 so far.
Damn right. And
I'll take the half a win. Doesn't matter the rain delay. I'll take it. Hey,
dude, it's legit. You know what? You got to speed up the process. Like the whole, you got to speed up the process. A lot of people were sick of slow running baseball games, so you had to fucking, you sort of had to sort of boost it up. But on the bright side, we have it back. We have basketball back. Hopefully, if everything works out, football could make a seamless comeback. I mean, even if it's fanless, I'm happy with just watching the interaction and the action. Fights have been really exciting lately.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be watching the Whitaker Till fight this weekend?
I am. I have money on Darren Till on my bookie. I'm trying to dig out of my debt. So
I agree with you.
TKO.
I agree. Oh wait, which round? Third round TKO.
Third round TKO. Till.
Wow, Till. I feel like he might win it earlier, but are you fixed
back and forth? I feel like they're gonna have a round each. I feel like
Whitaker has a lot to prove. Whitaker has a lot to prove.
I mean, Whitaker's a beast. I don't want to take away anything from Whitaker, but I just feel like
he's been not sick, but he's been not injured. I mean, he's had illnesses, right? Lately,
that's what Romero twice. He's fought Romero twice, so that's got to take some fucking brain cells off your fucking career, and then
life minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I wouldn't be mad if Whitaker wins because I like him. He's a good dude, and I think he's a great champion. I wouldn't mind him seeing to get a crack at Adesanya again, or Costa, depending on who wins that.
Oh my! Israel Adesanya is on fucking cloud 9 right now. He's not untouchable, but you got to be on some sort of fucking hot streak to fight that guy. He's been doing exponentially better than most fighters on their upswing. You watch his kickboxing fucking fights, and he was seamless, lights out. He was fucking beasts up that were heavier than him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in the UFC, he's on fire. I love Israel Adesanya, you know. But Till and or Whitaker would have to really make a good run before they even fight him. They would have to fight each other, and whoever wins, Till, I believe, will be the winner of this fight. Will have to fight somebody else significant
Who do you
before he
think?
gets a title shot.
Hermanson, the guy that just beat Gastelum?
The guy who just beat Gaslam, yeah, Hermanson could probably be the next in contention. But the thing is, like, I think Till is still like number 4 or something like that, right? In that weight class.
Who knows how the ratings go with UFC? But I
Whitaker
think
dropped because he was injured for 2 fights. So after he got beat by Adesanya, he wasn't number 1. He ended up going down to number 5 or something.
then he beat Gastelum.
That's why he's fighting. That's why he's fighting. Well, Gastelum was number 2, I think, who had the title shot, but Adesanya wasn't going to fight him.
I think, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think he's either 3 or 4, yeah, but I think they gave him a pass because, like, I think they like him because he's a UK guy, and, like, they want that. Once Bisping retired, like, they kind of lost that fan.
And he's got a mouth. He's got a mouth too.
His Instagram fucking game has been like the way he like kind of baited Mike Perry all quarantine.
He's easy. Mike Perry's easy to fucking bait though. He's like a little bit of a rager. Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of mad. I was actually I totally whiffed on that whole card, dude.
I read his shit in his voice in that Liverpool accent. Darren Till. I'm going like he speaks like an angry beetle.
He does, yeah. But you saw he was screaming at Whitaker at the weigh-ins. He's like, war.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
I hope it's somewhat of a bloodbath, but at least we got a lot to salvage as far as culturally and with sports. So like music will be another thing that'll fucking end up falling into place, but. Obviously, that'll be next year. But at least we have fights. We have baseball. We have basketball. Presumably football.
We might have all sports at the same time. Like that'll be like at least the one first.
Yeah, and we'll have an overload. And I was going to say there might be a sports overload. So I'm going to end up wrapping this up because we got 2 hours and 15 minutes on this motherfucker. We're talking about a lot of baseball.
It's been flying by, man. Yeah,
a lot of aliens and shit, dude. But I definitely want to have you back on, or I will join you on yours, and we could talk more fucking sports in the future. But on a final note, I hope you concur that I feel like I'm at least optimistic about what we have coming up in the future. Even though we're current COVID, I'm thinking more post-COVID, and I want post-COVID to be a thing. And and I hope we could all just get along, as Rodney King says.
Amen, brother.
Amen.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, and I won't dive too much further down that rabbit hole. Other than I'll say the same thing, and that I hope we could just fucking get along with each other and not fight with each other every day, and stop saying the fucking new normal because none of us like this new normal. Let's get back.
Nothing was ever normal. Nothing was ever.
Let's go back to the old normal where we hate each other, where me and you could just scream at each other about Yankees Mets instead of fucking COVID or not COVID or mask or not mask.
Yes. All right. On that note, cheers to you, brother.
Cheers, brother.
I hope you have a good night. You have a good weekend, and I'll be talking to you soon. Thanks for everybody who's tuned in. If you haven't liked fucking Cancel Cast already, like it. Like fucking Phil's channel. You want to give a plug for your shit? Go right ahead. This is your segment.
Yes. So Phill the Thrill is going to probably be debuting again Sunday or so. And then, once we get reconnected, I want us to do like maybe a once or twice a week, like baseball or kind of like
sports talk. I'm down with the sports talk, kind of sports centric. Hell yeah,
amen.
Down with it, man. All right, you have a good night, and thanks you guys for watching, and just hit that like button and fucking subscribe if you haven't already. You have a good night, Phil.
Cheers,
you too, brother. All right, man.
See ya.
Peace.